All right. You see, all I ever wanted was peace between humans and mutants. All I ever wanted was to love you and for you to love us. But here's the new truth. While you slept, the world changed. Hi, everybody. Welcome to our HoXPoX talk, the greatest thing happening in comics in 2019. I'm so happy to be here. We're doing a video portion of this one, audio listeners, so I'm pointing to nothing that you can't see. We're here to talk about HoXPoX for the topic, the HoXPoX toxic. We have a whole lot of issues, guys, and a whole lot of continuity.
12 in total.
12 in total. Really, like 800,000 comics in 12 issues, because this is some heavy duty shit, you guys. I am a super heavy X-Men fan. These guys have not read much X-Men, right?
No.
Yeah. Yes.
You guys said
No,
different things.
no, as in you are correct. I
Yes.
have not read
Okay.
I have not read much X-Men until this.
So before
Yes, as in you are correct.
yes, so before we get into it, I just want to talk about like what is your history with the X-Men, guys? What X-Men have you read? I know we all I was gonna say fans of the movies. I know we've seen the movies.
I am fans of the movies.
Yes, I am fans of some movies.
I'm fans of some.
Yes,
I will say fans of the movies.
Yes. Okay. So have you been real quick?
Yes.
Any X-Men comic books?
Not comic books. However, I did have one of those DK like fourth grade reading level books that explain the entire history of the kind of explain the history of the X-Men, such as Charles Xavier, Cyclops, Jean Grey, Marvel Girl.
Boy, that's a big one of those kindergarten books.
Yeah.
It'd be huge.
It was
the DK books.
it was thin. It was
No,
the thin version.
I'm saying because the X-Men timeline is so convoluted.
Yeah, I know.
Oh, yeah.
But it was the kid version of it,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
it had in like novelization form the first X-Men story.
Dude,
And-
that's how I learned about so much Spider-Man.
Yeah.
Go on.
So I had that. I loved because I was a huge fan of the X-Men cartoon. I loved watching the X-Men cartoon. It was on right before, like when it was on before Spider-Man, I would watch that.
Hell yeah.
And I loved it because Wolverine was obviously my favorite because which kid doesn't want metal claws to come out of his fists?
Snicked.
Yeah, that was awesome.
Oh, he claims they hurt. So
I don't.
They hurt every
Okay.
time.
Yeah.
Yeah. I didn't know that. Until.
I'm going to hurt my, during the, well,
Oh, you know. Video podcast. Hey,
we're going there then. All right. But yeah, but comic wise, nothing.
Cool.
It wasn't until I finally started reading comics and buying books that I finally decided I started reading Marvel essentially, or specifically where I said, you know what? I have Civil War. I want to get into Avengers versus X-Men. So I got Avengers versus X-Men, which isn't bad. It's okay.
Ben, let me tell you,
Counselor.
if that's the only X-Men book you've read, that's a bad X-Men book.
Okay.
I'm just letting you know now. It's an okay book. It has good moments. Bad event.
Yeah. But you'll be happy that I did pick up House of M.
Yes, I was
And
there.
you were there,
Yeah.
and I'm hunting down all new X-Men.
Sorry, I always mix it up. It's just new X-Men.
I'm trying to hunt down new X-Men.
Morrison's new
Grant
X-Men.
Morrison's run. But after House and Powers of X, I want more.
And I'm glad. That's what I wanted from this experience, is for you guys to become fans, if possible.
Yes.
I guess my experience as the ultimate X-Men run.
Mm-hmm.
I read the first several volumes of that. I've read Days of Future Past, which is only 2 issues, so that's not a huge feat.
People always assume Days of Future Past is this huge thing. It's 2 issues.
Yeah, it's just 2 issues.
They're the maybe the most impactful X-Men issues, and it's only 2. That's how powerful those 2 issues are.
right.
Which is funny because Days of Future Past, when you look, like the book is right behind you guys, it's thick.
Well, it's got all the times they
It's
went
got all the
back
tie-ins.
to-
It's got everything, like the essential reading, if you will.
Sure.
But essentially, it's just 2 issues.
Yeah.
And that's it.
But
2
they,
really
they,
good
they
issues.
always went back to that timeline. I've seen the animated shows, Wolverine and
Yeah.
Wolverine and the X-Men.
Yeah.
Comics.
Hell, even the video games, they did it.
I
Yeah.
read all new X-Men. I read.
Is that Bendis's?
Yeah.
Okay.
I read the first volume of All New X-Men. I read Uncanny. I'm going to count this Uncanny Avengers. There's 3 X-Men on that.
No, that is an X-Men book. Yes.
Yeah. Obviously, the Uncanny
Also,
X-Force that
also
we
a
did here.
recommender comic book.
Yeah, Uncanny Avengers was really good.
Yeah, it is.
Iron Man 2020 shows up in that.
So many. We should read that.
Anyway,
guys.
so yeah, Uncanny X-Force. We read the book club of that one. I have read AVX. Most of it's terrible.
It has really good moments.
Yeah, so not a whole lot, kind of but pepperings here and there.
Cool.
That's what I've done.
Cool.
But this is the first time where
Diving.
X-Men book ever made me exclaim, "Holy shit!"
I love it.
I wanted to, but unfortunately, when I read a lot of these, it was like pretty late at night.
You're just like,
I was at work
just
when
like,
I said that.
I was just like, whoa. And it was like, it's 3 a.m. It's like, I gotta talk to someone about this now.
What's up, Sparks?
Sparks for your
I watched the X-Men animated series, Wolverine and the X-Men as well. the entirety of everything that was Ultimate X-Men because I read the entire Ultimate Marvel
Nice.
universe. Bendis's, I read some of Bendis's a while ago, and Whedon.
Yeah.
When Whedon was on
Astonishing
X-Men,
X-Men.
I read.
That is a
I want to say I read all of his run, but I'm not 100% confident
Yeah.
of it. But I definitely read a decent chunk.
those first two volumes are like that and Grant Morrison.
That was definitely like
the top
Whedon stuff was
Disneys.
like my first X-Men pickup because I knew Joss Whedon was doing it. I was a Joss Whedon fan at the time, so I went straight to his X-Men stuff.
Yeah, that's a great one.
So that, and then the stuff we've done for the podcast and the X-Men Legend games.
Yeah.
Played those.
I almost bought that today, but
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
you
I
almost
don't have
did.
an original Xbox, and it's not backwards compatible.
right.
I have the original X-Men Legacies for PlayStation 2.
Nice.
I still
Wait,
have my
do you mean,
PlayStation 2.
do you mean
That's
X-Men-
Legends.
That's Legends. That's X-Men
That's
Legends.
the same
Was it
thing.
X-Men
Yeah,
Legends?
that's,
Yeah,
that's
okay.
Legends.
For the PS2, yeah, the four people. Yeah, I played those.
It's the prequel to the Marvel Ultimate Alliance
Yeah.
games.
Yeah, I played those.
Yeah. Awesome.
Yeah, exactly.
And those always incorporate some stuff, but those are mostly original stories.
Yeah, a lot of the comic stuff comes from the Ultimate run and Whedon's run.
The Wolverine, the X-Men Origins Wolverine video game tie-in is actually really rad.
It's awesome.
Yeah.
Mystique's in that game.
That's one of the one times where the video game is actually better than the movie.
so much better.
Mark Hamill plays Wolverine.
Yeah.
Right.
Hey, Bob, I'm the Jokerine.
Please don't.
Yeah, but
Sorry.
that's my.
Cool.
Yeah.
All right.
I love it.
And if Ryan, I know you said, can I do one too?
No, go for it.
Thank you. This is one
No,
of my
go
favorite.
for- oh, yeah.
I read this issue twice. I know it's the first issue of the whole thing, but I just love
No, it's a barn burner of a start.
He's
Yeah.
talking about House of X.
House of X number
Yeah,
one.
number one.
I just love it because an ambassador goes, "Do you know what you sound like?" I do, and it feels good to finally say it.
Mm-hmm.
You see, I know how you humans love your symbolism almost as much as you love your religion, and I wanted you, I needed you to understand. You have new gods now. Just Big Dick Magneto.
Oh, yeah, dude.
Big Dick Magneto.
Yeah,
He is
so-
so
Oh,
good.
I don't like you saying that word.
BDM.
Please never
BDM.
do that again.
Okay,
And it's an internet.
how about this boss?
BDM.
I
Boss
know it's
energy.
another thing. It shouldn't come from a very white man.
Oh, okay.
Boss
That's-
energy Magneto, just like
I'll allow it.
F all y'all.
Yeah. So let's dive right in. So
Yeah.
let's start with House of X number one. The very first
But
scene.
two stories that are one.
Two stories that are one. And it's funny because pretty much every big relaunch now has a miniseries before it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And honestly, no offense to all the ones that I've read, none of them are super important, I don't think. I think they're setups, which is fine.
You're right, they are
This
setups.
is truly this is just like a new series, and then we're getting the new series after
I'll
that.
be honest. After reading the last issue, which is basically issue 12, I was like, if this was just a out of continuity X-Men maxi series, that'd be awesome.
To be fair, 9/10 of it is.
Well, yeah, but
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
Oh my God.
it's such a uniquely told story for Marvel, especially. Like they don't go this big and,
Yeah.
and experimental.
Yes.
and this Hickman has put a complete series into a big X-Men relaunch.
Yeah, it's incredible. Yeah.
So I just want to comment really quick about how I feel masterful Hickman's storytelling is in these 12 issues.
There's a reason he's as big as he
So
is.
I mean, obviously, issue number one, House of X number one, we get a Magneto talking to the ambassadors, and the very first page we get this Charles
we have
Xavier.
we have to start with the pod people.
Yeah,
because
because Charles Xavier with Scott and Jean of these these eggs. He's like, to me, my X-Men. You're like, the frack is this? And then in issue number 2 or issue 1 of Powers of X, we see this guy right here, Nimrod.
Nimrod.
Yeah, he's an old school X-Men villain. He is an AI Sentinel. He's the highest of
Yeah,
Sentinels.
the highest of Sentinels. I kind of figured that he was the highest of the high. But once we get to Nimrod in year 100, I'm like, what is going on?
Okay, so we have to go a little bit issue by issue because there's stuff we have to set up.
To be honest with you, starting with the pod stuff that
Yeah.
you were saying, reading this week to week, because you guys didn't, correct? Like you didn't read this week to week. You basically did it more or less
As a trade.
this week.
Yeah.
Yes.
Ryan and I were doing week to week, and then I think we both reread the whole thing.
Yeah, I read it
for this.
all over again, yeah.
But doing week to week when the second House issue dropped,
The Moira one.
yes, the Moira one. By the time I was reading the rest of it week to week, I'd forgotten all about the pods.
Yeah.
By that point,
yeah.
I'd
Yeah.
forgotten.
I'm a big part of comic Twitter, and I love talking all about this all day on Twitter. So, like, speculation from the very beginning was like, is Professor X the Maker? Is this pod stuff like completely irrelevant? Like, we don't know what any of this means, and all the X-Men are acting really out of character.
I had to stay far away from Twitter.
Spoilers?
Well, from Twitter, yeah. From you, sadly, you specifically, because
No, yeah.
because you also hashtag X spoilers was around for a while.
Yes, that
which was-
saved some lives.
which was great.
Did you like our conversation with Mike on X spoilers?
Which one?
Where it was me, Brandon, and Mike saying
we were
riffing on you, but
Oh, that's fine. I don't care.
because the ex-spoiler, we weren't actually riffing.
No,
on it.
yeah.
Like, the ex-spoilers thing, and Mike was like, "Hey guys, if we tag ex-spoilers, he won't see this, so let's talk bad about it."
Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome. That's a good trick. Also, spoilers is a very necessary thing because people wanted to spoil this book for people who haven't read it.
Why?
And because they're assholes.
No,
you know
I
the
mean-
internet.
yeah.
There is an. I don't. Let's not say. There is an element of people just being excited and wanting to share
Yeah.
their excitement
Yeah.
on Twitter.
So for let's talk about House of X. Like we're talking about it, but the main crux of this issue is a tour of Krakoa with the ambassadors of various different places, with Magneto and the Stepford Cuckoos, and they talk about these drugs that
Yes.
the mutants are producing, that Krakoa is producing.
Because they put the seeds everywhere.
Yeah, they put the seeds everywhere, and Krakoa grows these plants that expand life for 5 years, gets rid of all diseases, cures cancer and Alzheimer's.
Like helps cures diseases of the mind
Yeah.
specifically.
And Xavier is willing to give this to the world.
Not give. He is willing to let them pay for it.
Yes, pay for it.
And he even says, like, I would have done this for free.
Yeah.
yeah, in the later issues, which
But you haven't earned it.
You haven't
humans
earned it.
didn't muck it up.
Yeah. So it turns out that a lot of those ambassadors are actually plants, and they're not actually ambassadors. There's like a lot of the world want to see what the hell Xavier and his crazy plan is.
Yeah.
And somebody has a gun, and he's like, "Oh, I wasn't going to use it." And Magneto was like, "Of course you weren't going to use it." You're just
That's how it all starts.
That's how it all starts,
But
yeah.
and he says, I learned one thing that
Like, you are all wolves,
He's
right?
like, no, some would be offended at a wolf presenting as a sheep, but I've learned hard lessons from your kind, so I know the truth.
Yes.
I think you should be German.
You're
He's
all
Jewish.
wolves.
But he's German.
Yeah, but
I mean, you can be Jewish
no,
and German.
I know. Yes, you're right. But like,
I literally
I
just-
don't think he's ever been canonically talked about having a thick German accent.
He should.
No, you're right. He should.
Well, I just picked my Magneto voice on the spot. I haven't had to learn.
Also, we
haven't had time to work with
we're
it for a
American.
bit.
You know. But yeah, he's given this he's just given so much sass to these ambassadors, and I love it.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
and Jean Grey is giving a tour with some children, and he's like, "Oh, can anyone come to Krakoa on this beautiful island of mutants?" And she's like, "No, only mutants,
Yep.
only people who are not mean to us, because humans suck."
Yeah.
And that's one thing that's the big crux of this entire saga is. Jonathan Hickman said in an interview, most of X-Men's lore has been X-Men karaoke. It's not creating original stuff. It's repurposing Sentinels. It's repurposing humans. It's always the same kind of nonsense. And you always have really good stuff like that does better, but it's always the same stuff. And he's like, I want to write my own songs. So the pod stuff, which we'll get into later, is very succinct to that. It's very crazy, and it fundamentally changes the X-Men forever.
It essentially, when I got to that part, I'm just like, well, comic books, this is some bonker shit.
So we have to talk about Magneto and Sabretooth and Toad are at damage control, because damage control is the place
mean
where
Mystique.
I'm sorry,
You said
Mystique.
Magneto.
Did I say Magneto? I'm sorry. Thank you.
did.
Thank you, guys. Sorry. Mystique, the Brotherhood of Evil Mutants, who are not evil, they're going to damage control to steal something, but we don't know what it is, right?
Some data.
Some data, yeah. And they all get away except for Sabretooth, and he gets captured by the Fantastic Four.
Yeah.
And Hickman putting the Fantastic Four in his first issue says so much, because he loves the Fantastic Four. Like he's written maybe the best Fantastic Four since the 80s. And he mentions Franklin Richards as a mutant. Did you guys
Yeah.
know Franklin Richards was a mutant?
Not
Yes,
until you
I
told
did.
me.
I
Yeah?
didn't know
Awesome.
this.
Yeah, that's a huge thing.
I had to ask you, I was like, why is he talking about Franklin Richards? And he told me,
Yeah.
because he's a mutant, Ben.
Yeah,
he's a mutant.
So yes, Sabretooth gets captured, and then like 1 minute later, Cyclops comes out of this portal, going, "What's up, my guys? What's up, X-Men?" And he's like, "Oh, Mazel Tov, Ben Grimm, you just got married, awesome." And he's like, "Oh, thanks, Slim." So he's like, "Yeah, let's. I'm gonna take Sabretooth with me."
Yeah.
And they're like, "No, you're not. He killed some people and he broke a bunch of laws." But Cyclops is like, "Yeah, but
I know it's upsetting,
yeah,
but
did you not? You know
yikes.
about the amnesty, right?"
this is how it's gonna go.
Yeah, and then Sue Storm, the great Sue Storm's like, "Cyclops, this amnesty, the other thing Xavier is doing, what are you guys thinking?" And then the line of this issue, maybe besides Magneto, is, "My family has spent our entire life being hunted and hated. The world has told me that I was less when I knew that I was more. Did you honestly think we were going to stand around while and do nothing about it?" And that is so powerful and so about the X-Men of always being passive. They're always passive. They're always
Right.
getting attacked. They are never the attackers, and that's why a lot of people don't. Not a lot of people. There are a lot of detractors of this comic who are like, "This doesn't feel like the X-Men." I'm like, why not? do you just want them to be pummeled all the time? You don't think they should defend themselves? And I think this brings up a lot of interesting social points, a lot of political points that we don't really need to get into. But the founding of their own nation, much like Jerusalem, which is a lot of big things.
Which is symbolism of the end of the issue.
Yeah,
which is why
they're in Jerusalem.
Yeah, which is why Magneto had the meeting take place in Jerusalem.
Yeah, it's very
because there's a
very
Karkoa
poetic.
habitat in Jerusalem.
Yes, and yeah, this issue is basically kind of just a world building setup issue. But for a lot of people, it shocked us because Xavier, you don't see his face. Magneto is saying these really crazy things.
It's so, even to the last issue, it's so telling how important Xavier's face must be. This one, I'm not entirely sure what that would tell them. That it's just his body language wouldn't.
Yeah.
But this is just not the same Xavier.
No, and the thing is,
I'm not talking about the Phantom X thing. I'm just saying, like, it's not him.
Yeah, so for people who don't know, Phantom X is an X-Men character created by Grant Morrison, and Xavier transferred his consciousness into his body, and that's why he's walking. I don't think they're showing his face because Hickman likes people in giant masks. That's the thing he does. After reading all 12 issues, I firmly still believe this is Charles Xavier. I think he has to be connected to Cerebro almost at all times.
Yeah.
To
especially for what he can do,
Yes.
he has to be.
Yes,
connected.
especially
He has like what one point I think later where he takes it off.
Yeah.
And we still just see him from the back.
and
Yeah.
and the one time
That was like a month earlier. That was
Yeah.
a flashback.
Yeah.
in one of the later issues. But if you notice, the Cerebro is implanted on Karkoa itself when he's not wearing it. It's because it's transferring information.
Right.
And we'll get into all of that crazy nonsense about minds and
Well,
having.
I wanted to bring up. There's a fan theory online about Moira McTaggart possibly being Xavier in this situation.
that I would have been okay with that rumor if we don't see Moira later.
Well, we don't see. We don't see Moira until even at the end of the book. Do we?
Yeah,
When
she has tea with Magneto and Xavier.
No, that's a flashback though.
Yeah, but it's only a month before.
Well, I know once he puts on that helmet full time
Yes.
and like dons the outfit, we know. I don't recall seeing Moira McTaggart after
You don't.
we've caught up.
No, she faked her death for 20 years.
I know, but
Yeah.
but shouldn't she be around? Is she still dead officially in the
Yes.
Marvel? Okay.
Yes. No, she is specifically okay. So we're gonna jump a little bit to the end. She is specifically hiding because she doesn't want knowing people that she's alive because
Specifically Destiny.
well, Destiny's dead.
Yeah. But
in this timeline.
But she can be brought back.
Yes, and that's such a good point because real quick, guys, Mystique and Destiny are a couple from the late '80s, and Destiny died. She's an old blind woman who can tell the future, and it's one of the first like real lesbian romances that's not talked about, and they don't say it in the comic, but they talk about how much they love each other, and it's like a really powerful connection. And the fact that Hickman is bringing this character back after such a long time is so cool. And it's so showing that Moira does not want her to come back, which we'll talk about when we get to House of X 2 and the reason why Moira doesn't want her coming back. So let's just jump into Powers of X, right? Oh boy, do you guys like timelines?
I actually do.
I do too. There's a lot of it.
It was at first to me it was very confusing.
Yeah, it's
It
understandable.
was like when we the first page you open up a set. It has classic Xavier and then Fishbowl Xavier, Nimrod, and the Librarian.
yes.
Right.
And the first time you see the Librarian, people on Twitter were like, "Excuse me, what is this?"
I was also like, waiter?
Yes, and
Who is
and
this?
For this issue? We assume this was one timeline.
Yeah.
We assume this is just years 1, 10, 100.
This is what, yeah.
And I don't know if you guys know this, but these are not X0, X1. They are not years. They are powers of magnitude. That's why Powers of X. It's not about years because there is no official real timeline like the DC universe. It's orders of magnitude of intensity and crazy things happening.
Hey Dan, it's a stupid idea. Stop it.
Sorry, this is a Marvel podcast right now. What was my point I was making? Oh yeah, it's orders of magnitude. So it's not like year 10, year 100. It's just like levels of craziness of things happening.
Which is
it's a scientific term.
Which is why it was the X0, X1, X2, X3 was an exponent.
yeah.
Yes.
So you get it. Yeah.
I did not know that.
Yes. A lot of That's
why it's Powers of 10.
Yeah. This book is called Powers of 10, not Powers of X.
Interesting.
Yes.
Oh, I thought you were
Because that's the only timeline that's real.
You guys are getting it.
Oh my god.
Thank you, Jonathan Hickman.
I thought you just were messing with us when you
No,
said
Powers of 10.
Yeah.
It's House of X and Powers of 10.
I did not.
Also,
I always call it powers of X.
There are
No, I
really
get it.
good Twitter theories that say this could also be House of X or House of 10, excuse me. But
Right.
we don't need to get into that. But this issue,
Holy shit! I gotta read this whole thing over again, knowing that. Damn.
I probably will. So this issue, the Powers of X, starts with Charles Xavier in the very beginning of his career, walking around in a fair in Scotland, having a great all time. He's swell. Nothing bad's gonna happen today, right? And then he meets a beautiful young woman, and she's like, "Oh, hey Charles, you seem like you're having a great day."
Myra Taggart.
Yeah, and he's like, "Wait a minute, how do you know my name? Have we met before?"
Did you know it was Moira right off the bat?
I did, because I knew Moira was in this book from Jonathan Hickman telling us that.
I just assumed.
I didn't know who
I just assumed from appearance.
I didn't know who
Yeah.
she was. And then when she said, "Go ahead, Charles, read my mind," he goes, one of the things I love about Jonathan Hickman writing, especially this, payoff. We see that scene play out 3 more times as the series goes on. And I'm like, what is the significance? It's not until the last issue we get it. It's like, oh, shit.
It's not a dream if it's real.
Yeah. Because what she says,
that's my favorite line in this whole
Yeah,
series.
because he's talking about, like, I'm having a my red thing's coming off. That sounded weird. So he's like, yeah, I'm just, I have this dream, and I'm like, I feel really good about it. And we learn later, Moira is gonna destroy this man and break him and turn him into something he is not anymore. But at this point, she's like, oh, Charles, I gotta show you something real quick.
I will not lie, Powers of 10 threw me for a loop. Powers of 10 number 1.
It's
threw me for a
supposed
loop
to.
because we get the scene with Nimrod in the year 100. We see Old
Nimrod
Man
is the greatest character.
We see Old Man Wolverine and apparently Krakoa, whom I actually thought was Groot when I first saw him.
Me too.
Yeah, that's fair.
Me too.
Yeah.
There was, again, lots of theories on who this person could be. So many obscure X-Men characters.
Well,
And then-
they say, don't they?
Yeah, he says, like, the person who I took the body of over, who is Cypher, who we see later. So it's a merge of Krakoa and Cypher.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, but I actually did think this was one thing.
You're supposed to.
Like we get powers that we get Krakoa being established, and then
Because
obviously
that bastard. Sorry, Ben. Because that bastard Hickman doesn't tell us the rest of the timeline. He stops the timeline in the back of the book at a certain point.
yeah,
he's good at that.
I didn't catch on until halfway through. Like when I was first reading, I was like, okay, so no matter what, they're gonna fail. We're gonna get Nimrod, and then they're gonna just ascend to a higher purpose, and it's gonna get weirder.
You brought up another thing that I wanted to say. So one of the things that I was not used to, having only read a few X-Men, a few Avengers, that Hickman did, was you dropped your thing.
It's fine.
Was all the text that was explaining things.
Yeah.
That was explaining things.
Oh yeah, and in the bits in between,
Guys,
the blurbs.
the first time,
very important.
The
Yes,
first time
yes.
that I saw it talking about the sinister pits, and I saw 2 pages of full dialogue, and I'm like, thank you, Jonathan, because this is what he does in every single, and especially his image books, pages of, like, he's writing books in those books.
Normally when I see stuff like that, I go, oh no. But I'm reading this, I'm like, no, this is helping me understand.
Wonderful world building.
It's make me understand what is going on here as someone who is very disattached to the X-Men franchise comic wise.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh,
This gives you, honestly, this whole series gives you little bits of the entire lore. So you're like, this is cool, this is cool, this is cool. So when you go back and read stuff, it makes sense.
Well, that's what I wanted to know about. That's why I wanted to ask about Nimrod, because because in the book, Hickman explains that a Nimrod is a point in history that has to be
yes,
stopped.
there are certain things in history that just cannot be stopped.
And Nimrod is one of them, and
Yeah.
like it creates an ascending scale of what happened and how Nimrod is produced.
Yes.
So I wasn't sure if they were.
Wait, I'm sorry. Clarify. Isn't it what it said that the development of the AI that creates the Sentinels is unpreventable, but a Nimrod doesn't have to happen?
Oh,
Yeah.
that's correct.
Yes.
Yes.
Then, so that's the whole
AI
thing is they're trying to find a way to prevent
Yes.
Nimrod
Yeah.
because
Nimrod.
they can stop him.
So that's why I wanted to ask.
Yes, that's right.
If Nimrod was always an X-Men character, this is another retcon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Quick
Especially, yeah.
Quick side note: when I first read Nimrod, I couldn't stop laughing because I always heard Nimrod as a lame schoolyard
Yeah.
insult.
It's actually like a
sometimes-
religious name.
I think
Yeah.
it's less true to say, correct me if I'm wrong,
Yeah.
Ryan, but I think it's less true to say retcon more than like expansion on pre-existing lore.
Yeah. Because, like, all those.
It's not invalidating anything that came
Yes.
before, but it is expanding it.
Right, but so if Nimrod was always a villain that they have fought,
Yeah.
how can they can't prevent it anymore because it's already happened?
well,
Or is it
yes.
this is a specific type of Nimrod that we don't?
this is, like, I think, specific to. this Nimrod is in a different timeline, so the Nimrod from our timeline is completely separate.
But they try to stop the creation of Nimrod because of the mother, because the mother,
the sentinel, the mother
mold.
The mother mold who makes master molds who
make
create sentinels.
Right, because if once the mother mold goes online, that leads to the creation of Nimrod.
Yes.
Right.
Yes, you're right. Yes.
But if Nimrod's already created.
So my 70s and 80s X-Men, I'm trying to work through it, guys. There's a lot. It's not as good as my modern X-Men. I just know Nimrod was a villain from the past. That is right.
But he could have. I guess Hickman could have just been like, okay, that's
just done now.
We're gonna retcon that and put it here.
Yeah.
Not so much an expansion thing, but like. An element that's not as widely known.
Oh no! It's
repurposed.
so excuse me. Nimrod is not a singular character like Wolverine.
Mm-hmm.
It is a sentinel. So like there have been multiple Nimrods. So that's confusing.
But this specific Nimrod should be prevented because it's a specific type of Nimrod.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. The one in the forge.
I'll accept that.
And isn't it just further clarification? Isn't it that with the establishment of this, Moira McTaggart's stories in the past are now not necessarily stories that happened in this timeline anymore?
None of them did.
Right.
So when we get to the next, let's get through this issue real quick so we can get to the big issue.
I mean non-Hickman stories.
Oh, okay.
I mean Moira McTaggart involves stories in the past where she's been playing different sides. They're now previous lives. Not the same timeline. Okay.
No, that's and the further we get into this book, the more we realize the entire 616 canon, Moira has all this stuff has still happened the same way. And if I know because you guys haven't read a lot of X-Men, it's hard to see that, but a lot of Moira's text, especially at the end of these books, like when she gets into her own textbook and stuff, explains that like this happened in X-Men #1, this happened in Uncanny X-Men 150, this happened in blah blah blah, and you have to know the X-Men, not like I do, like Twitter does to figure that out.
So basically, what you're saying is we have always been 616 has always been the 10th life of Moira McTaggart.
So the very first appearance of Moira McTaggart in the 70s or 80s, she's a housewife and she comes out with a machine gun. Why would she have a machine gun? That's so weird.
You know what he can do with that?
What?
He can make another Secret Wars.
They leave it alone for a little bit.
No, but I'm thinking because if she dies, it resets the timeline.
Yeah, I just retweeted something like, it's so ballsy of Hickman to like Moira so much that he makes her the crux of the entire universe.
Yeah.
Because if she dies, the Marvel universe stops.
Yeah.
That is so ballsy for them to do that.
He can do another Secret Wars.
He really
thing.
could. And that's why, oh man, I'm just thinking about the future of the stuff we're going to talk about, like all the planning that she's doing that involves like the Phalanx and like getting a world mind to like cheat death. Like all that stuff from Year 1000 is what she's trying to lead to, and which we'll get into. But let's just quickly finish Pox 1 real quick. Mystique and Toad return with the flash drive for Xavier
that they got
from the first issue from Damage Control, and she's like, "Here you go." But I have more demands because this was tough to get, and he's like, okay, sure, but I have more demands as well. And he's like, that's not really fair. And he's like, we are building a better world, Mystique. Everyone who wants to live in it is owed something. And I'm like, it's like John Smith owes something. It's like John Smith and Pocahontas. Like if you wanna eat, you gotta work. It's like that. Everyone has to contribute. So let's just jump right into House of X #2, guys. Truly the biggest issue.
The one that threw me for a good loop.
Honestly, probably the biggest issue of the year in comics. Like
because
truly the biggest retcon, the craziest thing to happen in comics.
This is where we get the Moira McTaggart idea of the other lives, right?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
This is where like the many lives of Myra X.
Oh man, I'm just looking through this book. I need my notes. I don't need the book. All right. Yeah. So the thing is, this book opens up talking about where are we at? All right, cool.
It talks about the first life of Myra X.
So immediately, the first line is in Moira's first life, and you're like, first life. We've only seen her in one life.
I thought when I first read that, I was like, oh, so like before she met Xavier.
Yes.
Like her, like people said, like,
not so much an actual life, just like a part of her life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nope.
No. So she lives a normal life. There's no.
By the end of the first page, she dies.
Yeah. And she lived a normal life. She lived to be like 76. She had a family and she died at a ripe old age, right? And then her second life, and she wakes up in her mother's stomach. And she's fully conscious, and she has every memory that she had in her last life as a fetus as soon as she's born. That's terrifying, you guys.
Yeah.
But there's a great line that talks about how she was like in like a zen.
Oh yeah, she was comfortable there.
She was comfortable because being in the womb is like a very zen kind of thing, and so like it didn't bother her very much. But let's see. Her second life leads. It's pretty much the same thing, kind of like she's still learning, and she figures out, and she sees Xavier, but she doesn't really do anything. And then she goes to see Xavier, and she dies in a plane crash.
Yes.
in her second life. So
Yes, because Xavier goes on TV and says, "My name is Charles. My name is Charles.
I must go
Xavier,
meet
known
him."
as Professor X. I'm a mutant." She has to go, but dies in a plane crash.
Yes.
Then she stays. Then her third life, she stays away
Yep.
from Charles. Realizes that this is a curse and creates the cure for
yes.
mutants.
Yeah. And this is something that happens in the 80s. She flip flops a lot. It's something, so many writers write the X-Men like it's going to happen with so many characters, but she's a human and her allegiances flip flop depending on who writes her.
She was a human.
She was a human. That's some shit, right?
But her mutant powers don't
Manifest
kick in until she's 13.
Yeah. So if she died before that, then she'd just be dead.
Yes.
Which is
now
crazy.
especially her in her third life, her talk with her in Destiny.
Destiny is such an awesome character, you guys. And I went back and I read a bunch of Destiny comics that she's in on Marvel Unlimited to find out more about her. She's she's a senile old blind woman, and she's like BFFs with Mystique, and she's like so like passive but also aggressive.
Yeah.
Like she's such a cool character.
I really like her bit where she's like, don't do this shit again, or because I'll know, because I can see all your lies.
Yes,
all
and
your futures.
Moira is a void in the world. Destiny can see like the future at all times, and Moira is a void.
Yeah.
So like she's like out of reality, which is super crazy.
And she's like, when you are back, I will have been attuned
Yes.
to what you are, and
Yes.
I will find you.
So Moira's like, just because a cure's out there doesn't mean it's going to be like used. And she's like,
There's
you think
this-
go ahead.
There's this great line that Destiny says, "I see 10 lives, Moira. Maybe 11 if you make the right choice, but at the end, if you make the right choice at the end, but that is all." And she's like, how is that possible? You are born each time with the knowledge of the previous life, but if you die as a child before mutant powers manifest, then you will not reincarnate.
Yeah,
So basically, Moira, what Moira is doing now becomes like, well, I only have the last life because I might not make the 11th.
Yes.
Yeah.
So Mystique and Destiny obviously don't want a cure, so they burn her alive. Pyro burns her alive.
Yeah, 'cause
he's like,
she's
I
like,
want you to feel this, and I want you to remember this.
Yeah.
So when you wake up, you know not to do this shit again.
And then it's
because you're
just-
one of us.
And then it's just
that was heavy.
Yeah.
this great expansion of her going to Charles, eventually falling in love with Charles, marrying him, and still dying by the sounds. Then her going to Magneto, raging
Hold
with
on, real
him.
quick. Hold on.
Yeah, go.
No, sorry. Life 4. It's almost exactly the 616.
Yeah.
It starts with the original 5, and then it gets the new X-Men, and then it does the Phoenix 5, the Avengers vs. X-Men, and it's called the Lost Decade.
Yeah.
That's a good touch, Hickman. That's a really funny touch. and then they all die, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Life 5, she does the opposite. She walls off from society. She creates a legion of mutants. Her and Xavier create a legion of mutants in a stronghold. Stronghold's an important word in this series, you guys. And Sentinels come and kill them anyway. It seems like no matter what she does, they can't win.
And wasn't
One of their lives, she goes to kill the Trask family.
So we go
Yes.
from Life 5 to Life 7.
Yeah.
And we'll get to that later.
Yeah.
Life 7 is her being a super assassin. And if you guys notice, she's wearing an X-Force costume. She's part of X-Force. She is X-Force. That's super dope. She kills Bolivar Trask. She kills a bunch of people who...
She kills the next Trask and the next Trask.
And she kills not just them, but other people who are involved in creating AI, creating machines, because she thinks that's the best way to stop Sentinels.
Yeah.
That doesn't seem
She
to work
describes
out.
it like fire, they'll always find this.
Yes.
because there's a scene of where she finds a Sentinel being built, and then the Sentinel comes to life and kills her.
Yep.
And that's where she realizes that there are things that are fundamentally that cannot be changed.
Yes.
Humans will always create Sentinels.
Yes. So we can go to Life 8, and she's like, all right, so I tried all these different ways, Xavier, blah, blah, blah. Maybe Magneto's my guy. And Magneto fails hard. And that's a bummer.
I really like Magneto's death in that moment.
Dude, it's like
Yeah.
all the Avengers against
the X-Men.
Magneto. And the art, we did not mention the art in this book. This book is incredibly well drawn. Both of these issues. It's R.B. Silva and Pepe Larraz. Beautiful stuff.
Hold on, let me show it to the camera.
Ben, I'm gonna be posting it up here.
All right, cool.
Yeah, I'm
cool.
gonna be posting it up here. Don't you worry.
But yeah,
Make
that-
sure to post not that picture.
Yes, I'm gonna post something real gross.
Yeah, but then the next one
is the best life. This is the coolest life, you guys.
Yeah, because she's with Apocalypse.
Yeah, she becomes a horseman of the apocalypse. And here's something fun fact: you don't
She doesn't become a horseman of the apocalypse because they hire four more people.
Well,
for
hold on,
the
look
apocalypse.
real quick, Ben. Since you're on it, see,
Yeah.
there's only 4 people there, though.
Yeah.
No,
See, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
No, but he doesn't
Apocalypse
count
is
as the four apocalypse. I'm pretty sure she looks
Yeah,
like
there's in this next
okay, so
page.
she is an apocalypse.
Yeah.
Then I misread.
She's a horseman.
But
Yeah.
I like that they designed her to look just like him.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and even though she's
great.
Yeah.
even though she is a mutant, you don't have to be a mutant to be empowered. Yeah, to be a horseman, to be empowered by Apocalypse.
Moon
Yeah,
Knight was-
and there's
Moon
also
Knight
this-
was an apocalypse.
So is Venom.
There's
yeah.
also this great scene of Apocalypse fighting Nimrod,
Yeah.
and she's talking about
Which
how
I didn't catch.
Yeah,
I
and-
didn't catch that.
But she's talking about if humans wanted a war, if
was
their
right
machines
there.
did,
All of it's right there.
then they would give them without end. 'Cause
Fun
it's
fact, you guys.
constant war.
There's a issue of Fantastic Four like almost 10 years ago that talks about Franklin Richards from the future saying, hey, do you remember when we fought Nimrod? He's the type of guy who his own stories are his own chronology, like his own history of the Marvel Universe. Like it's truly great stuff. Ben, can you?
That's how you should write comics.
Yes, 100%. You
Yes.
have to be really good and stick with it. Can you please read that page right there where evil fetus baby is revealed, and it's like the scariest panel of the year?
Ryan, I thought you never asked.
Thank you.
And then, after all the lives lost, after the end of all the wars, armed with the knowledge that all the old ways and all the old ways of thinking would never be enough to save her people, she decided to try something truly revolutionary. And in Myra's 10th life, she decided she and Charles Xavier would break all the rules.
Moira. It's Moira.
Moira.
Myra.
Keep going.
Yeah,
Go on.
no, that's it. Would that break all the rules? And then it cuts to the scene of her and Charles in the park again at the fair.
Yeah.
And it once again, payoff when she sits down and is like, go ahead, Charles, read my mind. And he goes,
Oh no.
and it just cuts there. And it goes to the timeline of Moira.
Yeah, Moira. I like a thing in this book that I forgot all of a sudden.
I think the Apocalypse one is like truly the most insane. Like I am willing to start murdering a bunch of people if it truly. No, I'm saying she was already killing like Bolivar Trask, but I will join Apocalypse, who is a super villain.
So it's
So
like I woke up Apocalypse early.
Yeah,
We jumped past Powers of X1 kind of quick.
yeah. It's hard, you know.
Rasputin. And
oh shit!
yeah, we really didn't talk about
It's
it.
hard.
Oh,
It's hard.
Nimrod's
right
whole
here.
interrogation, putting the Silabel in a bath, and the way he says it, and he's just got so much charisma and everything.
Silabel says, if it takes 1,000 years, we will endure and erase you from existence. And Nimrod says, that's the spirit. I love it. There are two sassy.
When he looks at the other, and he's like, I want to put her in the bath. Please put her in the bath.
Fine.
Oh.
And he's like, "Eee!"
That's right. Nimrod is very like.
Yes.
And also, if you read the issues like very well, like Nimrod is the most emotional character in that book.
Yeah.
Because the others are like on the verge.
Because he is the god machine.
I thought of it because I was looking ahead at the Powers of X2.
I'm glad,
and
yeah.
it's the one where he's got the guys in front of him,
And he
and
just
they
kills
make
them.
like an offhanded comment. He's like, "I'm sorry, it's just been long hours." And he's like, And then the other's like, I won't do it again. I don't agree with him. And he's like, I don't believe you. And he kills both
Oh
of
yeah,
them.
like,
on
the soldier's
spot.
like, oh yeah, keep on talking to yourself, and he's like, excuse me. Yeah, I'm so glad you mentioned that because there's a lot of great stuff in year 100.
because we didn't talk about Rasputin.
Rasputin,
like, at all.
Cardinal, Silabel,
Rasputin's the one with the awesome sword, right?
And
Yes.
old man Wolverine there with them.
yeah. So, oh boy, okay.
Who's the guy with the green helmet?
That is a guy named North. He is a chimera, which is a mutant hybrid of
Gotcha.
Quicksilver, Magneto, a bunch of other characters.
Yeah, because I did read the support text for that. So okay, cool.
I remember what I was going to say.
I missed an entire paragraph here. That's why.
He makes it look like Hickman has designed it in a way that Xavier and Magneto's friendship was predicated on Moira's information of these past 9 lives, and even then Magneto was like, no, I don't want to do this.
Specifically, yeah, later in issues we talk about it, but there are specific moments in Moira's text where she's like, we've lost Magneto, and that's directly a reference to X-Men #1 that was relaunched in 1991 with Jim Lee and Chris Claremont, where Magneto went bad again.
Right, right,
like,
right.
There's so
From the
many
diary
moments.
of her, yeah.
There are so
Yeah.
many moments that tie directly to old X-Men that's like, man, goddamn
Because
it, you're so good.
Because when it says we lost Magneto, I was like, well, you just got him.
Yeah.
How could you lose him?
This-
Once
this-
again, I
this-
thought this was one cohesive timeline, and it's not.
And when you get to like,
Well, your zero, X0 and X1 are one timeline.
yeah, oh yeah,
yeah. And we'll get to it later of like, there's characters called the Five, right? The most important mutants right now. And some of those characters are very young. So they had to wait until those mutants were born and their powers manifested. So this is a long-term plan.
yes,
A very long-term plan.
You're not even guaranteed gold balls, honestly.
We will get to Gold Balls. He gets his own page, baby. I want to talk about the Sinister breeding pits on Mars, guys, real quick. Sinister is an awesome character. He's one of the coolest. He's the only X-Men villain I have an action figure of because he's so cool.
For those of you at home, we have already gotten many awesome characters, and
Oh,
there
yeah.
will be many more.
Oh yeah. So Sinister betrays the mutants, and he teams up with the machines, and he creates these things called hounds, which are mutant honey mutants. and he creates these things called chimeras, which are just like a fuse of a bunch of different mutants. And on the 4th generation, the batch is so bad that 40% of them kill everyone that they're near. They commit mass suicide. And I'm like, this is this is a Marvel comic book. And we're talking about mass suicide.
Yeah.
And I'm like, this is some heavy shit, man. This is so cool. Let's see. I got a quote from Cardinal. There's a lot of names. Cardinal and Rasputin are fighting a bunch of Sentinels, and she says, "That's your problem, Cardinal. You forgot machines have no souls, and humans lost theirs a long time ago."
Oh, that's a great line.
That's all Hickman. This is the shit that I eat up, like AIs and souls, and what does it mean to be human, all that stuff. This is my jam. Let's see. So yeah, Sinister made war against mutants because he's all in it for himself. Even though he's a mutant in our timeline, he's not a mutant technically in other timelines. I guess.
Yeah.
Whatever.
He killed. He's like, I experimented with putting the mutant gene in me, and I didn't like it.
Yeah.
I was like, hey, I'm the one with the mutant gene.
Yes,
and I love it.
and I don't know if you guys noticed, but when we jump from year 100 to year 1000, there's a Silo Bell in a bath still.
Yep.
Oh, I didn't notice that.
Go to the page. It's in that issue.
Yeah, that's
10?
It's
Yeah.
it's the tell to be like, this is one timeline.
It may be. Things are happening rather interestingly. So all that stuff with Cardinal and Rasputin happened, and then we jump to year 1000, where Silabel is still bathing. Nimrod, the Greater, is a little robot hanging out with this guy called the Librarian. And little
Who I
Nimrod,
thought was a child.
yes, and the little Nimrod creates a collective consciousness of mutantdom, which is a living database of Homo Superior. That is kind of familiar to some stuff that's happening later on, guys,
And
with Charles Xavier. Isn't that crazy?
We hear that later on that these people that we see on Earth now are post-humans.
Yes, they've not ascended, but which we'll get into later, which is the whole crux of the thing is like humanity will always be the enemy of the X-Men. It's not Sentinels, it's not AI, it's humanity itself.
Yeah,
no matter what.
And I really like that the post-humans are like, yeah, Homo Superior thought they were the next step, but they didn't know about us. Or like things like that. So.
And that I have so many quotes from like the last. It's the last issue that cements all that stuff.
Yeah.
But is there anything else you want to bring up from this comic that we're talking about before the next comic we're talking about?
From Powers of X1?
Yeah.
No, I just wanted us to actually
I'm so
talk
glad.
about some of
Thank you.
that stuff. So yeah.
Thank you. I took a lot of notes, but eventually I had to stop taking so many notes.
Yeah.
So Powers of X2, right?
Yes.
We start with Magneto getting recruited. And this is
love
such,
that scene.
it's so beautiful because it shows there's a great scene of Magneto getting revealed all the timelines and a page of all the battles that Magneto went through. One of them, he's fighting an evil-looking Krakoa.
Yeah.
Araco, maybe, who might be a villain in X-Men. Right there. Beautiful page.
Yep.
I'm going to put it up right there, baby. And like the page of him like crying almost. And it's like, this is all for naught. And I'm like, the Magneto's whole thing is like, I am not like Charles. I need to do things my way. Oh, shit. None of the ways work, I guess.
Also,
Sorry, Ben. This is what's interesting about this book. Basically, Charles in House of X, Charles or Powers of X1, I don't know.
they all line together, yeah.
Where Charles says to Magneto is like, both of our ways aren't working.
Yeah.
What if we
need
try
to
it
change.
together?
Yeah. We need to change.
I just want to say to both artists for House and Powers, those artists, every time they draw Magneto, his face is almost always in shadow.
Yeah.
Especially
Sinister,
in the Powers or in House 1. He's in shadow. Even when they first meet when Moira and I'm not gonna get her name.
Dude, it's
right,
fine. You're fine.
When her and Xavier go meet him and recruit him for House.
I'll tell you
and
what.
his face is like completely in
When
shadow,
he's-
and then he takes the helmet off and it's perfectly clear.
When he's in the old comics, when he's in villain mode, more shadow.
Oh, okay.
That's kind of gives you when the
Makes-
timeline happens.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
But still, even after that, even after Karkoa is established, he's still in shadow, and I
Yeah.
love it.
Is
Her truth is profound and life changing. We always lose.
Is the other island an old X-Men foe, or is that new for the series?
That is completely new.
Okay.
Having another entity that they broke apart and Krakoa wants to be whole again is a brand new idea. But it was referenced in an old comic that someone just said randomly, I think Krakoa is trying to like rebuild itself or something weird, and never brought up again. So it's just Hickman cherry picking continuity.
I had a question about one of the maps because there's a couple of times where we see the Krakoa map, and then there's another one with Island 2. Is that the other island? Or is that
no.
part of Krakoa?
No, that is so much like it doesn't reveal like timeline stuff until later. It shows us one map and then it shows us like an updated map basically.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Because it does say Site 2, which I thought was like.
I think it's still it might be different like
They've
time
gone
periods.
to Site B.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Okay, yeah.
So-
I'm not sure.
So yeah, I was just wondering that because of the big retcon with Karkoa,
Yes.
how it's one of the first mutants,
Uh,
possibly the first.
uh,
It's a living island.
it is, but I mean, like, he could have been born 20 years ago and turned into an island. You know what I mean? Like, Apocalypse is still technically the first mutant.
Well, I know, but it's established that
well,
Apocalypse
wait.
and Krakoa
Yeah,
knew each
isn't
other.
that the whole thing? Is
Oh,
that
you're right.
Krakoa?
Yes.
Yeah,
You guys are right.
Krakoa
You're right. Thank you,
says
Brandon.
when it's talking
Yes.
to Cypher that like a sword split out of it when it was existing and separated into two separate beings.
Oh my gosh, you
And
guys.
that's-
And Apocalypse was there fighting.
You're
for it.
right. You're so right. And that's
that's the-
Limbo.
That's the sword that the metal
Magic.
girl,
Rasputin.
Rasputin.
the Rasputin. That's the sword that they wield.
Yes,
Yeah.
it's very similar. And Magic, who is Colossus' sister, has a sword. It's called the Soul Sword. It's very similar. And that's Limbo is a realm in the Marvel universe, like demons and shit. But he is making it like canon that like the X-Men are part of Limbo and Krakoa is part of Limbo, and it's like merging all these different worlds, and it's nothing.
Didn't Jeff Lemire have them based?
Yes, in Extraordinary X-Men, they were based in Limbo because people blew their shit up.
Yeah.
Good job, Doug. Yeah,
I read that.
I love it.
I
That's
forgot
not
to bring that up.
That's not the best X-Men. It's pretty good X-Men. Let's see. So Scott gets asked to go destroy this motherboard by Papa
Yes.
Xavier.
And I love the way Xavier and Charles or Xavier and Magneto are talking to him, and especially at the end, and Scott's like, "Does it need doing?" Yes. Then it will be done.
Yeah, Scott is a hard man, you guys. Scott is the leader of the X-Men for a reason. If you've only seen the X-Men movies and not read the comics, I'm sorry. People think Cyclops sucks. He doesn't suck. He rules.
Well, a lot of people, and I'm only saying this because there's when I used to work at the comics, there was an employee who really loved Scott Summers and really hated how Scott Summers had been done since prior to AVX.
Yes.
Like, there's a long era of Scott Summers that people were just like, this is the worst way to write this character.
He did also get turned into like a terrorist like Magneto after Schism in 2009. Like Wolverine became the new Xavier and Scott became the new Magneto for all intents and purposes. I like that stuff though. So yeah, Nimrod is going to become operational. Like we got to get this shit out of the way.
Meanwhile,
It's interesting that they know Nimrod's going to come online though, isn't it?
Yeah.
How do they know that? Guess we'll find out later.
didn't they just get the data thing?
But we don't know that yet.
Yeah.
They didn't say that's the Nimrod's operation because the Mystique thing, they didn't say that yet.
when they first like this is why we're Nimrod, but yeah, it is later revealed that it's because of the reveal in Powers of X.
Yes.
Which is that the life.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you meant okay. I get it now because I was saying like, well, they know because Mystique got the data thing.
No, but
that's how they have the plan
readers
about
don't
it.
know.
No, okay.
Yeah,
Yeah,
the readers don't know.
I'm with you now. I didn't understand. What
Yeah,
you were
wasn't the
talking
data
about.
thing for Orcus?
Hey,
Yeah, where
guess,
Nimrod's going to come online. Yeah.
guess who did like a parallel mission in the far other timeline?
Our boy
Getting data.
Apocalypse.
Yeah.
The hero of the
Who
story.
has Rasputin come, much like Mystique, and
Yeah.
give him a data thing?
Yeah, dude.
Meanwhile, they'd
Poetry.
also lost somebody who had gotten captured.
Man, George Lucas would love this book. It's about poetry.
And Apocalypse is like, yeah, we always lose. The machines always win.
Apocalypse says, oh, so once he gets that drive from Cardinal, he says, "Give me your eyes, children. For this, I would have sacrificed all of you. It means that much."
Such a great
Because
line.
Apocalypse could still be a leader, but he is a savage, like murderer.
Oh,
Yeah.
It's in this timeline that Apocalypse has 4 new horsemen. I was confused.
Yes, it's Old Man Wolverine, Zorn, Magneto, and Krakoa.
Yeah.
Krakoa and Cypher, who is the coolest character of all time, guys.
And this is where Nimrod ices those two
yeah,
dudes
yeah.
of his. And I forgot what he does after is he picks up one of their skulls and he's like, now where were we? Oh, yes, truth. Oh, please, great Nimrod, give us our truth so that we may know the difference between darkness and light. Well, since you asked so nicely, here it is.
Nimrod
that's
is so
Nimrod.
Nimrod and Sinister are like the sassy duo in the series.
Oh,
and I'm
yeah.
like, this is so good. This is
Like,
so fun.
Nimrod is so just.
He's
out-
so human.
He's so
That's what's
out
so funny
there.
about it. Like his intelligence is so high. He's like,
And
he's
he's
as human as
He's
us.
a walking mass of nanites.
Yeah.
And we have Zorn here.
Guys, Zorn.
I love Zorn.
Okay, real quick. Do you know the origin of Zorn?
No.
No.
So Zorn originally was Magneto.
Oh, geez.
He was It was Magneto pretending to be Zorn to be part of the X-Men. Then that was retcon to say no, Zorn's actually Zorn. And then it was retcon again saying no, it was actually
I know
Magneto.
about this.
And then his twin brother Shin shows up. Like, no, we're actually Zorn brothers. So Zorn is a complete mess. In this book, he's radical. He is like the character I would write. He is super depressed. He just wants to die all the time. And he's like, yeah man, shit's whatever, man. It's
Ryan,
cool, dog.
that entire explanation to me is summed up in the Spider-Man gif, but a bunch of Zorns just pointing at each other.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
it's he's got like a dwarf star exploding.
He has a singularity, in his,
Singularity.
yeah, which basically is just like a nuclear explosion.
And it's like
a black hole. Yeah.
It's like, I'll do it. You wouldn't. Please do it.
Please do it.
Yeah. Yeah. He's like, give me death. Just let me die. Right. Like they're like, hey, it's a suicide mission. Sweet.
And so, and like,
It's a suicide mission. I've never been more excited for anything in my life.
I know. I'm like,
then-
whoa, this dude is metal.
and then the girl's like, you're not gonna do it. It's just like, okay, just pulls his
Yes.
mask
That-
off.
yeah, that's later on.
That's later, but yeah.
That's later.
It's a great scene. So let's jump real quick to year 1000 with the Phalanx. The Phalanx is an old school X-Men villain, weird thing. Their techno-organic virus, I believe, stems from them.
Well, yeah, they say in one of the supplementary stuff is that the techno-organic virus is implanted by them.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. It's
There you
like
go.
now the Phalanx is just a giant collective
They're the
of
reason why
intelligence.
Cable has
Yes,
the
Cable is
virus.
always fighting off that infection.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's why, and fun fact that I know about the X-Men, Cable is so damn powerful, and
He's an Omega level mutant.
He's an Omega
he
level mutant.
was. I don't know if they say it he is anymore.
So as far as we know, he's an Omega level mutant, and because of his powers holding back the techno-organic virus, he is not as powerful as he should be, because most of his
Actually,
powers is being pushed to
he
stopping
he actually
that.
might be an Omega level mutant. I'm not sure. Most of the Summers clan is, or the Jean Grey Summers group is.
Oh yeah, because Jean Grey is so damn powerful.
Yeah, that's why Sinister loves the Summers family. Like, Sinister is all about them because they're the most powerful family.
Yeah.
He loves screwing with them. So let's talk about the Phalanx. The Phalanx, guys, is an interstellar society of a galactic scale that represents an intellect that has total control of a host galaxy.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
What's a host galaxy?
Oh
Ryan?
boy. I don't know.
It's explained in this.
No, it is explained in this. They also talk about black holes. Black holes aren't what we thought they were. This is actually a real theory that black holes are giant supercomputers. That is a truly awesome thing.
Watch Interstellar. It's about
Watch
that.
Interstellar, yeah. So the librarian and all of these post-human people are trying to ascend into the Phalanx, right? They don't want to die. They want to be part of the ever-living world, right?
The intellect.
Yes, because if you're
essentially.
part of a world mind, of this giant hive mind like the Phalanx, then you transcend time and space. You never truly die. You're part of something called a godhead, basically.
Yeah.
Godhead. It's a great black science run right there. There's a lot of the year 1000 stuff that is kind of like it's the least, not important, but like the least focused on thing, because it's really confusing for most of.
And I was like,
I mean, we sit.
it's the least through line of.
We sit on the story and what your 1000 story. A lot of them are just the next bit of that scene, which is just them talking to the Phalanx.
Yeah, it's really
Yeah.
the last. It's issue Powers of X6 that really cements it all.
like up until all these storylines, these branching storylines, if you will. Talking like the one I most I care about the most is the establishment of Karkoa.
Mm-hmm.
That's the one I care about the most.
Yeah.
And then of course we get to the year 100. Like I want to know how they fight off Nimrod. How are they able to beat this guy? How is Wolverine with Apocalypse? See, two characters that I know for all my knowledge,
actually brings
they
up a
hate
good
each
point.
other.
This actually brings up a good point. Part of the reason why year 1000 doesn't like entice is because we don't ever see a character we know.
Oh, the only thing
Yeah.
is Nimrod, but that's like a weird.
But he is
Yeah.
now
Because- and
he's
you're-
like a drone robot from Destiny.
In X100, we still have Magneto and Wolverine
Logan
and
and stuff,
Apocalypse. Like we know these characters, but when we get to
It's the most
X1000,
alien.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's the most alien, and that's the point as it gets later on.
Yes.
But it's difficult to not necessarily care, but it's difficult. It's difficult to invest if we don't. If we don't,
It's the
really
least
have it.
impactful until
Yeah.
the end.
Those
and then
part-
when you reread it all makes sense.
Yeah, those
Yeah.
parts I feel they hit hard.
The payoff is the most.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. The payoff there is,
Yeah.
like I said earlier,
Especially-
this man knows how to do a payoff.
Especially if you're not paying attention to the timelines in the back of the book.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So if your society is worthy, you can be consumed and join the collective. Basically, like you won't. You're gonna die, but your essence will live on forever.
Essentially, your mind will live on forever.
you're ascending
and,
to godhood, basically.
yeah. That's why they call it the Ascension.
Yes. So let's move on to. So this is the first time we've gone from House Power. Now we're going to Powers of X3, just straight from Powers of X2 to Powers of X3. Hey guys, all humans are slaves. Better to serve in heaven though than rule in human hell, because these post-humans don't want to be humans. They want to be better. They think humans are gross. They think mutants are gross. They want to be the highest level intellect they possibly can. So they're willing to just have their entire planet get eaten by this Phalanx, right? That seems kind of crazy.
Which is actually funny because later in a supplement later down the line, they say these Phalanx, they're fearful of one thing, and that's Galactus, the Eater of Worlds.
Oh boy.
That's cool.
Oh, boy.
The Kaluans, Brainiacs people, the Kaluans operate the same way.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Let's see what we got here.
Mother, not Mother Mole, not Mother Box. I don't know.
Granny Goodness.
One of the characters from Black Science is a robot and comes from a similar.
Oh, okay.
place.
Yeah. Gotcha. Yeah.
Black Science is rad.
It is rad. Okay, so Zorn is talking, and he's like, "I had more hope for." Okay, so so it's this church guy preaching to all these post-humans and turning this baby into a techno-organic virus baby to be consumed by the phalanx. That's some horrible shit, guys. That's horrible shit, but it's awesome. Zorn's like, "I wish I had more hope for humanity, more pride, more grace. Yet here they are in all their glory." And it's not glorious at all, you guys.
Yeah.
So this is where we meet Apocalypse's horsemen, and it's War, Wolverine, Death, Zorn, Pestilence, North, and Krakoa, Famine. I love Apocalypse, guys. I love the horsemen. Anytime they show up, they're super dope.
Oh, yeah, this whole issue takes place in year 100.
Yeah,
Yes.
this is the big issue that explains
in the ninth life.
Yeah.
that we
the ninth
find out
life.
is the ninth life, and this is where we realize we have to get to it. So they get this data that they learn where Nimrod is going to become operational. This is the life where they learn that.
Yeah.
But Moira is only a human. She would be dead by now, right? So like we're wondering like how does this still take place? So they get this flash drive or whatever, and they bring it back to Krakoa or to wherever they are. They're on Asteroid K, which is an asteroid space base that Magneto once had in the 80s.
Well, I just had a. You know what? What's tragic?
Asteroid K.
Jonathan Hickman has just inadvertently made one of the most tragic things about the Marvel Universe. It always has to end.
Yeah.
Because Moira will die of old age eventually.
Which is why all of this failing stuff is so important.
Uh-huh.
Because I don't know how they're going to get to there. And this is, again, for the very later issues. But this idea of cheating death and becoming a godhead means that Moira could die but still live on, and the Marvel Universe would still go on. Because if she dies, the 616 is over. And I know they're not going to do that. They're not going to do an entire relaunch.
Unless Hickman does it again.
I know he won't, though. Like, he's not a DC guy. Like, that's not what he does. I think that in the X-Men series to come, he's going to find a way for Moira to be taken off the board, because Moira has been off the board for almost 20 years. So he brought her back for this specific story, and I think he's going to usher her into godhood somehow. I don't know how. That's going to be in the next 5 to 10 years of X-Men comics. But we'll find out.
Hickman.
Yeah.
So yeah. This is the reveal that. So it was about here. So I'm reading the series kind of trepidatiously. I'm not a huge X-Men fan, so I'm kind of going around. It's like, okay, this is good. I clearly see talent. I love Jonathan Hickman, so I'm like, whatever. But I never really got like wholeheartedly into it, and I was like, well, it's because probably I'd never read an X-Men. I never was really into the X-Men.
Yeah.
So once the reveal is like, and so Moira's ninth life ended, was the end dialogue. I was like, holy shit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Everyone did. Oh, yeah.
Now for me, I said this before, if I don't turn the page and exclaim holy shit, I question whether or not I should be pulling this book.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And when I read that, I was like, okay, guess he got me.
Yeah. That's where he got me. The second where I said, and Moira's ninth life ended, I was like, oh.
And so ends the ninth life of Moira X.
Oh.
And I don't know if you guys have noticed, in every single comic book page, there are these little indexes that say like the house of Xavier 3, 4. All those are actually important, and they tell little stories about timelines that I can't get into now because I still don't know all of it. Mm-hmm. But every single thing in these comics is important, and that's going to be another deep dive that I can do on my own much later. Cardinal's asking a Hound, who is an evil mutant, trying to kill him.
Hold up, I just want to say one.
Do it.
Damn it, Hickman.
Yeah, right.
Show of hands, people out in the internet. How many can sight read Krakoa? Apparently, I'm almost there.
Yeah. A lot of X-Men Twitter is fully like, I should know Spanish before I know a fake Krakoan language.
Well,
once 27 letters or whatever.
Once we see the cipher, I went back and translated everything, and I got so excited. And now I can recognize certain letters. So and that's all you really need to be able to know what a word is. So I'd be like, oh, next. The Lives of Moira McTaggart, and like I'll just know that's what that says.
That's the feeling of a good comic that you do that. I love that. Cardinal's asking a Hound like, "What are you doing this for?" And he's like, "I do it for the greater machine. I do it for God," because he thinks that ascending to the phalanx is God, and I think that's super crazy. And this is where we find out where Nimrod comes online, and Wolverine is able to get the index for Nimrod's ascension or whatever back to Moira, but Apocalypse
has to stay behind.
Apocalypse sacrifices himself, which is a hero move if I've ever seen one.
And this is the issue where we get to the singularity part.
Yeah, and then
which is great.
And then they're like, you wouldn't open his mask, and she's like, "You bet." And then she does a giant explosion, and it's amazing.
Yeah.
And then all these characters die, and you're like, well, if this is the future, this is terrible. And then it's like, oh, this is not our future.
Yeah, it's insane. It's insane, that reveal.
Dude, seriously, Apocalypse, like
blown away.
Again, like I talked to you guys earlier, Hickman did to Doctor Doom in Fantastic Four. What he's doing Apocalypse now, like he's turning him into like an anti-hero character with like depth that we didn't know before, and he has like this weird history with Karkoa, and he's like saved the world before, and it's like it's just nutty stuff. It's nutty stuff, guys. So that ends this issue where we find
Does it? Do any of these issues really end?
Yeah, I guess you got a point. Yeah. So I got that page out of the way. Hey guys, let's go to HoX3. So
Wolverine killed Moira. Oh, sorry, it's important to say.
It is important. I even wrote it down.
Yeah, and that's the reveal is that Moira McTaggart is still alive, and
she's been in cryogenic like freezing.
He puts it in, and she says
puts
now
the crystal.
He says
she knows everything,
and he says that if Apocalypse said that if we were successful, then send you on your way because there's nothing else to save here.
Yeah.
And then he puts out the claws and says, "I'm sorry," and she's like, "It's fine. This is what you do."
Yep.
And she says, "This is what you do," which again is an incredible callback for the final issue.
Yeah,
Holy
man.
shit! Yeah.
Holy shit.
More like a setup than a
Setup.
callback.
Sorry, setup. Yeah. It's same thing, different timelines. Yeah. HoX3.
That's the thing is it's a callback. Like
Back to the future
chronologically, but for the reader, it's a setup.
Yeah, I love it. So HoX3. So yeah, definitely House of X is the more traditional just storytelling book, and Powers of X is the crazy timeline figuring shit out, right? So this is the issue where Scott has a dope ass team.
Ben, what does that say?
House of X?
It's Krakoan.
Well, so yeah, he has a great team.
What does that say?
It's right here. We're doing a video.
Well, assuming since this is House of X number 3, I assume it's House of X.
So they say they cannot bring a Krakoa plant on the mission with them, and a lot of people had issues why they were doing that. But we'll learn later that even though Krakoa is an island, he is still a living thing, so he can still be hurt. And second, what if the mission goes badly and they have a Krakoa portal open? And that could cause bad things.
Or that
possibly.
they can study things about
Or they can study, exactly.
So they go to space like Dark Phoenix, the movie that came out this year.
They sure do. And they use that Shi'ar technology-fueled Blackbird.
They pop out of a Krakoan portal out in space
that they just put there. It's dope as hell.
They have a base on the moon. The X-Men do.
Yep.
Yeah.
And also, this one explains exactly what a Nimrod is, because the whole time I was like, what the frick is a Nimrod? And then I get to this issue, I'm like,
It's a lot of normally. When I'm reading a comic book, I like to read a comic book. When I read a novel, I like to read a novel.
Yes.
I don't necessarily like to read a novel in my comic book.
That's fair. Yeah.
Which is why I have such issues with heavy dialogue issues. I never had a problem reading all the extra Hickman blurbs.
It's super good world building. Oh, I see Emma Frost, my girl. I named my cat after this lady, guys. That's how much I love this character.
So now even though
this is a core distillation of what Emma Frost is.
And I love her.
You get it, yeah.
I love her. I can see why you love her. And after especially reading House of X number 3, I was like, I can see why Ryan loves her so much.
Sabretooth is on trial, and his lawyer is hilarious.
Oh,
he is so scared that Sabretooth is just going to kill him, and he's like so worried. And then he's like, you smell that? Jasmine. What does that mean? It means you're fired, counselor. And then Emma Frost and the Cuckoos bust through the door, looking fabulous as hell. She's got stunner shades on.
Myra, wrong person. Emma has like the X on her chest, the X logo on her chest.
The Stepford Cuckoos are like, Miss Frost, blah, blah, blah. And she's like, excuse me, if we're in public, you use my mutant name, thank you. And I'm like, Emma, you're such a bitch.
And then she goes, sorry, Mom.
Sorry, Mom. Yeah. So of course the lawyer or the judge is like, I can't just let you take this prisoner. And she's like, I'll pretend like you could have stopped me.
If you put the gun down.
Yeah, if you put the gun down, he's like, it's a brave new world, darling. You better start getting used to this kind of shit.
You pretend like something of important value happened here.
Yeah.
And I'll pretend you could have stopped me.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. Like it's a brave new world, darling. You got to get used to it. Like certain X-Men absolutely feel superior to human beings 100%. Emma Frost is one of those people.
We also get the explanation of the Omega Cycle. And we get to the mission on the Mother Mold.
What's the Omega Cycle again?
Pretty much like Sentinels.
Right.
So we meet Karima, and Karima is working with Gregor and the doctors Gregor and Mendel. And if you guys know, Gregor Mendel is the founder of the science of genetics.
But we also see that's cool. But we also see that the girl she's working with is also with Nimrod in the future in year 100.
A different version of
Oh
her.
yeah,
Yes. Yep.
she's that's
They just call her Omega. But she is she was a hero, and then she got she was like I don't think she's a mutant. She's a regular person just teaming with X-Men, and then she got corrupted by like super evil Sentinel AI shit, and then she became like an Omega Sentinel, and then she just disappeared from comics for a long time, and now she's back. And I got a great line. Where is it? I got a great line. Oh yeah, Nightcrawler asks like, "Oh, Karima, what a surprise!" And she's like, "Hello, Kurt. Picking sides, are we?" Actually, that was all of you. You guys clearly picked a side. And the humans in this are not sympathetic, but it's Orcus, who is a group of collected Shield agents, Hydra agents, Strike agents, Hammer agents, Alpha Flight agents.
The perfect analogy I think for this is like in Dragon Ball Z. When they find out about the androids are going to be made in 3 years' time, and they're like, we could just go find Dr. Gero and kill him now, and Goku goes, no, we can't do that. He hasn't actually done it yet, so he hasn't done a bad thing, so we can't go kill him. And they're like, oh, but okay, I guess.
Yeah.
And this is that version
100%.
of actually going and doing that, being like, yeah, they haven't technically done the bad thing, but they're going to do the bad thing.
Dr. Mendel says, like, how could they possibly know what we were doing out here? Like, that's impossible. It's like, we had a previous life to know about this.
Yeah.
So they're going to try to turn on the master mode early.
Hey, no precogs allowed on Karkoa.
That's issue 6, man. We'll get there.
I know, but we can jump around a bit.
No, yeah. We got to talk about it later because that entire scene is incredibly important. They're on this mission, and then Dr. Gregor is like, I can't deal with this shit. I'm gonna go take care of these X-Men. And then Ben's on the page. He goes and he blows up the X ship, and that's where this issue ends.
Yes,
it ends with the X ship blown up. So everyone thought
it ends with him sacrificing himself to stop the X-Men from boarding the station.
Yeah. Doc Mendel blows the Blackbird up. His wife is sad, obviously, and it's a cliffhanger. That's real sad. So everyone on internet.
Oh, and then we finally get the Karkoan cipher.
And then everyone's like, "Oh, let's go back to all the issues. Oh my god, let's read them again. Oh my god." I didn't do that because I
didn't.
Yeah,
I did that.
Yeah,
I figured. You know what? It's probably just like next time.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Wait. Let me see it. Let me see it.
That one.
No, not that one. The other one.
You can read it. I believe in you.
This is SOETA.
Soy toy. Soy boy. All right, let's do this.
Something's
wrong.
Something's wrong is the first two words.
Oh yeah. I think you're right.
I don't remember the full title.
So HoX 4, when this came out, was a radical issue for me. I thought this was a super powerful issue. It's a little less powerful knowing what happens later, but again, it still doesn't change the fact that these people die in this issue.
Yeah.
I think 3 and 4 of House are some of my favorite issues in this whole collective.
Yeah.
In this whole collection. Because, I mean, this is what I came for. This is like grand X-Men kicking ass. I mean,
this is the big, like, again, House is like
all the stuff.
This is the
like
story.
all the stuff that was talking about for Moira and the Nim trying to stop Nimrod, trying to stop the Sentinels, and it's like, we need to stop this. We can beat it all. Like the end of her 6th life is like, okay, they have to stop this. They have to stop the Mother Mold or the Master Mold, whatever it's called.
Life?
What?
Her 9th life is where they need to stop the Mother Mold.
Oh,
I'm sorry. I'm getting myself confused.
yeah, I'm getting myself. There's a lot, guys.
We don't need to worry about Life 6 at all until the very end.
Yeah.
So don't worry about that one.
But yeah, for 9th life, you're right. So all of this stuff, like the X-Men doing like quote unquote superhero things.
Yes.
And they're because at first like in issue 1,
There's not a lot of action like in
there's
the
not
House books. Yeah.
There's not. But once we get like when we see Orcus for the first time in House 1, I'm like, who is Orcus? And I'm trying to figure out, and I see this giant sentinel head in space. I'm
Hello,
like,
beautiful.
what are you?
And if you notice, the first time that we see the Orcus members, they're wearing shield outfits, but they have the Orcus logo on them.
Yeah.
They look like shield agents. It's awesome.
Yeah. But then I realized, Orcus, they're just a bunch of racist jerks.
Yeah, 100%. They're racist jerks. And they do want to stop their own destruction but maybe don't try to kill other people first. Like,
Yeah.
hey, just don't do that.
Yeah.
So this issue starts with Archangel and Husk being dead immediately, and that's when I knew this issue was going to be rough.
Yo.
Immediately, because they kill Angel and Husk, who are prominent X-Men characters.
Also, all the issues, they start with a great blank page with a text and who said a quote from the book.
Is it No More?
It's No More.
Of course, it's No More.
This is
Sparks is on the page that I really liked.
Oh, with Jean Grey?
where Jean Grey is contacting them, and they have different mutant powers working together to create kind of like a image.
3D image out of Storm using water and Jean Grey
Uh-huh.
projecting herself.
Yes.
It's like a projection through water.
Yeah,
It's beautiful.
And so it's like beasts, and they're all combining their powers to create
Yes,
this.
and
thing.
you got to realize,
I like that a lot.
Jean Grey is projecting from like millions of miles away.
Yeah.
So like that is super powerful stuff that she's doing. She's real strong. Dr. Gregor, if you notice this entire issue, she has smeared mascara. The
'cause
entire.
she's crying.
It's such a good detail.
her husband just killed himself.
Yes,
to try and stop.
It's
the
just a
X-Men.
nice little touch that like I don't think a lot of people realize. Like
Yeah.
she's always got smeared makeup, like she's been crying the entire time.
Yeah.
You guys meet Monet for the first time. I don't know what to tell you, Marvel Girl. You got to try harder. What a badass Monet is, guys. She's so cool. Oh my! You guys have been up more than you could chew. People who know Monet, she's never done this before. We don't know why she turned into a werewolf monster. I don't know why she turned into a werewolf monster.
I just
that
thought-
wasn't her powers before.
Just when she turns into that Carnage looking thing,
Yeah.
she kind of looks like Carnage to
It
me.
looks like a porcupine.
Yeah, but she turns into that monster. I'm like, who are you and why you
Yes.
look so awesome?
Hey, if you're in the comments, the first time I said this, tell me why Monet is a crazy lady, because all the experts on Twitter don't know either. So please let me know if I missed it. I really want to know.
Yeah, it's basically like the plan is going very badly, and Scott.
Well, real quick, Mystique first.
Actually, it's going fine at first.
Oh, right, because
Because
that was the-
Wolverine
break
and
the first one.
Nightcrawler successfully break two
Yeah.
of
Yeah.
the collars, and it's Mystique and Scott on the other
Yes,
two.
and
I
Wolverine.
was saying, like, Scott still says we can do this, so then they
Yeah, we can finish it.
Then they get bamped in.
There's a great scene of Wolverine killing a bunch of people,
Yeah.
and then Nightcrawler just tying them up and leaving them alive.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's some. Good
I
character
noticed
stuff.
that. I noticed Wolverine just murdering fools, and then Nightcrawler just tied them up, and they're just like, oh.
Nightcrawler's death is so cool.
Well, we'll get there. Mystique
Also-
is murdered first.
We gotta talk about because this is super important. Because do you guys actually believe Mystique got turned around? Do you actually believe that?
I don't know why you're saying this, so I'm going to say no.
No, because look, she says it right here. She's like, it's like Mystique, where she's like, sorry guys, I got turned around. Like she got lost on this critical mission to save the X-Men. There's something going on here because she knows she's going to be resurrected. That she's doing something here that is against Xavier's plan. And I don't know what it is, but Mystique is too smart to get turned around on a plan that they know what they're supposed to be doing. And I just think it's because a lot of people point this out, like Mystique is too smart to have been turned around and to get killed like this. She knew she was going to come back to life. So much like Black Widow in Captain America: Winter Soldier, there's an ulterior motive that we have not seen yet.
I just want to say, in a less competent writer, I'd probably just be like, oh, it's just dialogue
Yes.
writing. But because it is Hickman, it is entirely likely because that's just the kind of thing he does. He
Yes.
writes
Yeah.
things like this. I don't think it's a all the time rule.
No,
that
not
it
at all.
should be, but for
But
this specifically,
knowing they come back to life, it just again everything is important in this book, and I think it's super interesting that they would even show that happening.
Yeah.
But yeah, then we get to the best part of this comic. Sparks, can you please read this beautiful Nightcrawler quote before the two friends say goodbye?
remember
Sure.
he's German.
I'm not-
Nightcrawler is definitely German.
Calm down. So Wolverine says, so I got to ask, you still think there's something waiting for us on the other side? And then Nightcrawler asks, worried about your soul, Logan? And he says, just wondering what someone like me should expect. He says, when you wake from this early slumber, my friend, look for me. I will be there waiting for you, radiant and with open arms.
And then Nightcrawler teleports him and Wolverine out into the open air in front of the sun, and Nightcrawler disintegrates instantly.
Immediately.
Instantly. And Wolverine, if you've seen the movies, he can regenerate really quick, but he is dying.
He is
super dying.
He's close to the sun. He's burning.
He's burning
instantly.
alive as Mother Mold's coming online.
As it's coming online, and it's saying, do you hear us, Olympus? We have stolen your fire, and with it we will burn you all as
Yeah.
it falls into the sun.
Which is
And they talk about
great.
like the gods and like the Titans and like the precursor and this like
Do you think Deadpool could have survived that? Because Deadpool's healing factor is stronger than Wolverine.
yeah.
Do you think he could have survived?
He can't survive out in space though, so he was gonna probably die no matter what.
Okay.
Yeah. Just like Wolverine and Deadpool can be killed by drowning. That's how they can actually die. As long as they're not brought back up.
I question this. Deadpool has his head lopped off and can still talk.
It honestly depends on the writer. It really does. Because Wolverine kills
That's not what we're talking
Yes.
about.
Wolverine kills his son Dawkins by drowning him, and that's how he dies. But again, it's weird comic book shit.
Hold up. I want to read this.
Please, Scott.
Yeah. So Scott just died.
Well, real quick.
Oh, no.
Does it say the
Oh,
thing
no,
that
no.
Dr. Gregor says?
Yeah. So Dr. Greger
like
says,
you killed my husband or something.
My husband's dead, you son of a bitch. I'm not taking prisoners today. And then he telepathically tells Jean that that he's not going to make it. She
Gene, I'm
screams
not
no.
going to make it.
And
But
then,
the panel,
and
dude,
then
the panel of Gene screaming and with
Yeah,
Cyclops.
that's one of the best panels in
that
the
is
whole
so
comic.
good. But here's what I love. It's I believe it's Hank, Beast saying, Professor, they're all gone. And then it's, look at what they've done.
Yep.
What they always do. Look at how this always ends with fire and death and the funerals of our children.
Jean Grey is getting destroyed by Sentinels in space.
Every victory, ash. Every triumph, defeat. They've murdered so many of us. The world has grown used to it. This is just how things are for these people, for mutants. No more.
And then there's 4 pages of
no more.
of no more of like text of the mutant genocide in Genosha and like all of
that
it.
the mutant genocide of Genosha comes up as the like crux of their.
It's because
their
16
plight.
million women, children, and men were all murdered by Sentinels.
Yeah.
And
then
everyone else on Earth act like that was okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly, and that's why
And then
this.
they talked about the no more
more mutants.
Yeah.
1
The
million
Pretender
Or Wanda Maximoff.
That has pissed off so many fans online, and I am just eating it up
really?
because there's it's a shitty retcon that Magneto is not the father of the twins anymore, and that's a shitty retcon.
They are no longer mutants.
They're no longer mutants, and that's bullshit. But it gives us this beautiful thing of Jonathan Hickman saying, "You guys want to do that? Sure." She's a pretender. That's why if you look at the enemies of mutants, the Avengers are on the list.
Yeah.
That's awesome. That is awesome because, as we'll get into later, the Avengers were not there for them. Like the Illuminati, which is referenced later, like all of these groups, like nobody's helping them.
And
Even
Xavier-
Captain America doesn't.
Xavier is on the Illuminati.
Yes. Then again, in issue 6, like we see a specific panel of a bunch of Illuminati members.
Yeah.
And I'm like, yeah, this.
I love that scene. And then that's the reason why I want to pick up House of M and the arc with the Genoshan genocide. Because I did not know.
You want the context.
Yes, I want to know how these things happen.
So Emma Frost,
obviously, I'm reading it in the supplements, but in the supplemental pages. But it's like this. Holy shit!
Yeah. In Grant Morrison's New X-Men. So he's the first person to give mutants multiple powers. There's only been you're one mutant and you have one power, right? And then Emma Frost is one of the only survivors of the Genosha massacre, and she survived because the stress turned her skin to diamonds, and she learned that she has a second mutation. And it was
that's a really recent thing. I
that's
didn't know
in
that.
2001.
I didn't know that. I
Yeah.
thought that was always her.
No, it's since 2001, and then since then, a lot of mutants have slowly been getting secondary powers because of evolution. That's how evolution works.
That's cool. I didn't know that. Deadpool's not a mutant, right?
No, he's
I didn't
not
know
a
this.
mutant.
I didn't know this. What is he?
The movies really mucked it up because I don't read enough Deadpool to know, but I had a Twitter conversation with a great guy on Twitter that I'll put right here. And he said the movies mucked it up, but no, he's never been a mutant. It's weird gene stuff. Like he got Wolverine's blood, but he's not technically a mutant. It's kind of nonsense.
You learn something new every day, guys.
Yeah, it's I kind of just wish he was a mutant just to make it easy, but like it's not true to the character. Blah blah blah.
Like Spider-Man's mutate. No,
Yes, and that's a whole another thing, man.
So you won't see Spider-Man. Karkoa.
No, but there was a great Spider-Man X-Men comic, and that's where we get Sauron
lost
saying,
Is that what Deadpool is? A mutate?
It might be.
Maybe
Technically?
Yeah, technically.
If Spider-Man's a mutate, then I would say
OF. So it's P.
We're trying to read Krakoa.
Powers of X.
yeah, it's
So,
powers.
Are we moving on to House of X4?
Hell, no, that's what we just Powers 4. Yeah. Sassy Sinister, baby.
Lord,
All right, we got
Powers
this
4.
is this is the first time I've ever met Mr. Sinister.
Hey, guys.
I was not.
How do you feel about capes?
I like
Love
him.
capes.
I'm just going to say Edna Mode for like 15 years made me feel a certain way, and then Mr. Sinister switched my mind right around.
I'm sorry, but
I'm capes all the way.
Were you capes all the way? Cool.
Krennic's cape? Are you serious?
Yeah, that thing's huge.
Look, my whole thing was like the Edna mode bit was funny, but like if I pictured Superman without a cape, I got mad.
I know.
Yeah.
I mostly said that as a joke, but like,
yeah. You opened a can of worms there, buddy.
Krennic's cape is luxurious.
Yeah, Sinister would definitely appreciate
I was just gonna say Superman, Batman with no capes is BS, but that's anyways,
Batman with no capes is just Batman Beyond. Are you saying his costume is BS?
that's different. Batman Beyond is really cool.
Yeah, it is.
Okay, so the really, really important thing about this meeting, one is that Charles and Eric are recruiting Sinister very early on, like before he's a true villain to them.
Yeah.
Because after he says, "Hey, can you help us with this crazy plan of cataloging every single mutant mind on the planet and all their DNA and all that stuff?" And he's like, why would I want to do that? I'm not a mutant.
We find out later it was Moira didn't know about this.
Yes, and she's real pissed.
Even though we have the bit of like, I love that cape. Before we say anything else, I love that cape. Why don't I have a cape? I always thought you would look good in one. Why didn't you say anything? Execute this man.
Yeah. So
Hey,
Tons
remember
of Sinisters around.
Hey, you also remember earlier when I said boss energy Magneto?
Yeah.
We get this again when in the very beginning where he's holding a sinister guard and he's like, Eric, we need this man. No, Charles, this man needs to decide if he wants to escort us inside or if he wants to continue thusly and suffer the consequences.
Yeah. And real quick, Bar Sinister is what it's called. That's from Secret Wars.
Oh.
And
yes, it is. I know that.
Yes. And
You understood that reference.
yes.
Secret Wars is a good book.
Sinister is all about cloning and genetics and stuff. So like he's just surrounded by clones of himself.
Which threw me through for a loop because I didn't know anything about Mr. Sinister. I'm like, why is this?
This is where he was like, I tried experimenting with the mutant gene myself. I didn't like it. Hey, I'm the one with the mutant gene.
And then a Sinister kills him and saying, I'm a mutant. I like mutants. I'll help you.
No,
Yeah.
it's even better than that. He
Yeah.
leans in after he kills him and he's like, psst, it's me, the Sinister with the mutant gene. And if you must know, my mutant power is overthrowing tyrants and being absolutely fabulous.
Oh, God. He's so good. Sinister's so good.
This was a better version of Ultron killing the other Ultron.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, hell yeah. Good point. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And this is a...
Wait, are we talking about Age of Ultron?
Yeah.
Yes.
yeah.
Okay.
And this
movie.
This
That's
is
why
significant because Sinister was able to give a mutant power to not a mutant. He created a chimera way too early. He's creating chimeras this early in this timeline, which is a bad sign for the rest of the series because chimeras are primarily in the future. So we're seeing all this like the Sinister stuff on Mars happening right now on Earth early. So every time Moira does something, it kind of affects something in every timeline. I'm like, a lot of people didn't pick this up until later. I'm like, oh, there's already Chimera around. It's Sinister himself. And I'm like, shit.
Yeah.
That's good, guys.
Yeah, it's interesting because, it's kind of like the Flash Crisis on Infinite Earths things for the TV show is happening early because of something they messed up.
Yes, very much like that, yeah.
So it's similar there.
And this issue introduced the Sinister Gossip.
Yeah.
And we can't get into that
No,
because
we
I
can't.
literally can go into this for an hour itself. But it's a bunch of hot goss about Sinister being super sassy, talking about all the X-Men characters. And again, it's a gossip column, so half of it could be lies. Like we spent so much time on X-Men Twitter trying to solve all these riddles. Half of them could be lies.
Yeah.
But real quick, the one that really stood out to me was a liar in red shoes, a devil in red shoes. There's only one character in this book who is wearing red shoes. It's Rasputin.
Oh.
Yeah, that's some shit. And we see the cover of X-Men 1. There's a variant with Rasputin on it.
Oh.
So I think all of those characters are going to be coming back in some weird way, and that makes me so excited because I do not want those characters gone. They're so cool.
Okay.
Isn't the creation of Chimera a precursor to something else that would create a new like another terrible future? The timeline of how sequential things that he puts in there is so complex that it requires more than one reading.
Yes.
But I feel like that's like a creation of a Chimera is like a precursor to the creation of something that could destroy.
Yeah. Well, because like again, first gen chimeras with only one mutant power, they're fine. But once you start going to generation 2, 3, 4, they become more hostile and more dangerous.
Yeah.
And less stable. So let's see where we go
Drop
from there.
Cypher off Krakoa.
God, guys. So Charles Xavier is wearing a safari-looking outfit.
Yeah.
The villain of Grant Morrison's new X-Men, Cassandra Nova, his evil twin, was wearing that outfit in that book. There was some crazy shit going on, and I don't know why he's wearing Cassandra Nova's outfit. It could be because she possessed his body, and that's actually Cassandra Nova in that scene because the timeline matches up. So that might not even be Charles Xavier, which again is just like, what is going on right now? There's so much going on. But Cypher is awesome.
He drops Cypher off because Krakoa is like, okay, yeah, I'm not going to
I'm into this plan of yours, and Cypher is a character who can understand any language and decipher any language. Decipher, that's great.
Yeah.
He's an awesome New Mutants character. He's awesome.
So Krakoa says something, and Xavier and Cypher says, "Do you know what that means?" And he's like, he said, "Well, yes, but it's more complicated than." And he tells the history of Krakoa.
Yes,
Yeah.
which involves
We were
go for it.
Akara, the one land, ancient before that word existed, but not yet old in the way that they were old. The twilight sword of the enemy tore the world asunder, and what was one became two, Araco and Krakoa. And from the chasm between them, from whatever wicked place they came, the enemy poured into this world. If not for the man who was not a man, the first mutant, the warrior god in blue, the world would have fallen.
The warrior god in blue, Apocalypse, the savior of the world, guys. That's some cool ass shit. And this, like, just the visuals of this and his horsemen.
The first horseman.
The first horseman
from Uncanny X-Force.
Those are not them because these characters are still stuck guarding Limbo from reawakening. They're not the same characters. If in that Uncanny X-Men, those were all recruited from like the 1800s, 1700s.
But he calls them the first horseman in that.
These are technically, it's a retcon.
Okay.
These are the
That's
first.
all you need to say.
Yeah. These are the quote unquote real first horsemen.
Okay, and these characters are still around.
They are currently keeping Acro. What's the name of it? Acro.
They're keeping the chasm shut.
Yeah, they're keeping basically like the chasm from Limbo to Karkoa like shut. They're basically keeping a portal shut.
That's cool.
They're
gonna
going to
show up again.
We don't know where Araco is.
Yes, and so this Twilight Sword, it looks a lot like the Soul Sword. People are also saying it might be the Necro Blade from Thor, from the god, but I don't think that's it.
I don't think because we see Null Forge it.
Yes, we do see Null Forge. So I think that was just people wanting to put things together. That looks more like Magic Soul Sword from Limbo and stuff.
Yeah.
But the fact, again, bringing Limbo into Apocalypse and Krakoa is so fascinating and cool. That's some really good shit. And then, oh no, stuff's falling over there. So where are we at, guys? Where are we at?
Oh, I don't know.
Oh, then we get back to
Cypher staying on
year
the
1000.
island.
Cypher staying on...
Cypher
stays on the island to create the language of Krakoa.
Let's see. What does it say? Oh, this is super crazy and important too. Okay, thank you for bringing up year 1000. So the Elder has like a Nimrod who he's copied a part of his brain into to see if the Phalanx will accept a machine copy of humanity, because they cannot accept biological life forms. They can only accept data and stuff. And it works. So the little Nimrod gets absorbed, and the part of his memory and stuff is in there. So this plan to become ascended while still living happens. This is very important, again, to Moira's plan for the maybe future of X-Men, right? Mm-hmm. That's some important, crazy shit, but that's enough of that. We'll get into that stuff later. All right, guys, we're into the big issue now. Now we're here. House of X5. I wrote the 5 bitches. Gold balls. Gold balls, gold balls, gold balls. These are a bunch of obscure mutants.
Okay, so I was wondering why you tweeted about gold balls that one day.
Well, no, what was interesting is this happened unbeknownst to you, I'm assuming. You just tweeted how cool gold balls was on a Monday or Tuesday.
Yeah.
And
because it's just making the rounds of like, hey guys, remember gold balls?
Yeah, and then the next day, Gold Balls is a huge
the
character,
savior of the X-Men.
Yeah,
and he's just a joke. He's a joke Bendis character. And Hickman has famously said, "I ate off the scraps of Bendis to get where I am now." So he is paying this back by making Gold Balls a joke character, one of the most important X-Men in history. Mm-hmm. That is bold. And here we get to the resurrection. The plan: mutants are now immortal. They cannot die. They are reborn.
The idea is that Gold Balls wasn't shooting golden balls. He was shooting golden unviable eggs.
Yes.
To which another mutant has to make viable, and then another mutant puts in the thing. It's a whole multi-step process from these five
Proteus
Yep.
is the one who touches them, and he does a little warp of reality,
Guys,
and they become viable.
Yep.
And then they're injected with DNA, and Elixir, the life giver, kickstarts the process. And then Time is at the slave of Ava Bell.
Ava Bell, baby.
And
Tempest.
that moves everything forward, and there you go.
It's incredible.
Mutants.
And once I said payoff, the first scene
Yep.
in House 1 is explained here.
Yeah.
And holy crap.
That's some good shit.
This is where the rumors of Xavier.
Oh, and Hope. Hope's
and
important
Hope.
too.
Yeah. He brings them all together. She brings them all together.
Oh God! Someone talk. I got to vent because I got to
and
find
also,
a tweet that I found.
and also, this is getting easier for the 5. Like it's going to keep getting easier because they're getting stronger and stronger.
Correct. And Hope is the one who keeps their powers at their able to operate at both their peak and in unison.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so this is kind of the movements of Xavier in this issue are kind of where the rumors that he's possessed by someone happened, because
Yes.
it's like this doesn't move like Xavier. He's very effeminate.
Yes.
Also, the first time we get to see Lorna here.
Yeah.
Yes, Lorna Dane, baby. Yeah, so she's talking to Magneto and like, hey, have the humans done anything worthy of anything? Polaris, yeah. From The Gifted, which honestly is like maybe one of the best versions of that character. But she's like, hey, humans suck. What have they done? And he's like, actually, they gave us civilization and society.
They gave
So,
us
like,
society,
they
the
gave
one
us
good thing.
Yes, and that's awesome. And then Gold Balls walks in and they perform the miracle and they bring all our X-Men back to life. They're all covered in goop.
And they explain that Cerebro's main function now is to imprint the soul
Yes,
of all the mutants and
the mind.
store it.
the mind, the soul, anything that makes
No, the soul.
the soul. Yeah,
Yeah.
Thanks to not Forge, Bishop, right? No, or Forge.
Forge.
No, it's Forge.
Forge.
Oh,
Forge.
oh God, Forge is so cool, you guys.
Yeah.
Tom Selleck.
Yeah. But I don't think we've seen.
No, that's God, I'm gonna show you guys a picture real quick, but I'm gonna post it up there. This is the first appearance of Forge. That's Forge.
Love it.
That's the first appearance of Forge. He
looks like Howard Stark.
He's a little bit. He's a handsome, funny guy.
Everybody looks like Howard Stark far enough back in comics.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. And, okay. So I also they get brought back to life, but I love Storm's speech, or Storm saying like, "This is my brother. This is my sister." But what are they? And the crowd chants
Yes,
or
so
shouts.
this
mutant.
was a very controversial issue. Not like really controversial, but people had a lot of problems because they found this very cultish and very weird and like very un-X-Men. And I think
it's meant to be uncomfortable.
Yes, and I do agree, but somebody is no, it was me who said this. They were like, okay, so if you never lived in America and you went to America and we just started singing the Pledge of Allegiance all at once, that would kind of freak you out, right? Like that seems cultish, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, this is the founding of a new nation, of a new culture, of a new society. Of course it's going to look weird. This is the first time we're seeing it.
Especially because how the X-Men are framed in this as almost a cult.
Yes.
Like they are framed as almost a cult.
It's very the religious iconography is absolutely on purpose. There's so much religious like text and like things that are so very clear.
Yeah.
I don't know much about Catholicism or religion, so like I just use like what do I know from VeggieTales.
Yeah. Yeah. Also, I love the mutant diplomacy map. How it tells you exactly what country doesn't really agree with.
I really like it.
Karkoa.
It's not that Wakanda disagrees. It's they don't need it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, dude, that's great. And then
And everywhere that's helped by Wakanda also doesn't need him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay,
like
so-
it says for Wakanda, they're straight. I was like, we don't need it. We're fine.
So this is from Generation X 47, which I believe came out in the late 90s. This scene from Generation X talks about Krakoa wanting to be one piece again. The biosphere was one aspect. The Krakoa that was the Jean Grey School another, and then merging with Arakko maybe? And it's like, what about Krakoa? Wasn't the biosphere originally a part of that thing? Exactly. Krakoa needs to be whole again. And that's the last time it's brought up.
Yeah.
That was 20, 30 years ago.
So we get the list of things, and Wakanda says, what does that say, Ben? Wakanda?
They do not need mutant drugs. And
Isn't it
other,
like red? It's
Yeah.
like, we hate you.
Well, I don't
It's not
think
hate, but
I don't think
No.
Wakanda was
So-
like, no, screw you. They're like, wait, we're good.
yeah, they don't. That's
so
true,
the
yeah.
thing, so there are the reasons for rejection. Like the rest of the UN's, like, oh no, we will accept Karkoa as a nation, and there are some nations who do not. Especially two countries, Russia and another, Latveria. Dr. Doom, looking at you. Both of them like, yeah, for political reasons, we're rejecting you.
Yeah, and like Xavier's like, we went through the proper channels.
Yeah,
We did this. We made sure to go through the proper channels of becoming a nation.
Yes.
And I think that's really
and like
interesting.
Wakanda is like, we're good.
Wakanda and all the parts protected by Wakanda
Yeah,
of Africa
yeah, like-
are not part of this.
Yeah, we're like, we're good, thank you.
They're just like,
But the big thing that happens is at the end.
Oh,
When
okay.
some folks walk through that
Yeah,
portal.
because here's what really got me.
Krakoa is a home for all mutants.
Yeah. So, and like in past issues, we see Wolverine give the data to Apocalypse, and he's like, "Here you go, boss." And here we are. Wolverine is like, "You sure about this? It's not too late to change your mind." And then Charles is like, "An opportunity to change is exactly what I'm offering, Wolverine." Chuck, I gotta tell you, what do you talk like that? I kind of want to beat you to death.
Yeah, he does.
Some people are beyond saving.
Yeah.
And then there's this great dialogue more between Magneto. I'm gonna stop there.
Yeah.
But then, frickin'
So, okay, you know who the person on top is.
yeah, that's Mr. Sinister.
And then you guys, nobody knows who that guy is.
That is Magic.
No, Magic is a
No,
girl.
Magic's
a girl. damn it.
No, that is a guy named
knew that.
Exodus.
Oh, Exodus.
Exodus is
Yeah.
a very like religious-esque like my way or the highway.
Never
kinda.
mind.
I mean,
was
I know
wrong.
because of later.
Is
Yeah, of
that
course, 'cause
Okay,
later, yeah.
is that Silver Samurai?
No, that's Gorgon.
Gorgon. Okay.
Gorgon is a low time Wolverine villain that Jonathan Hickman loves, and he's propelling him to A status.
Okay.
real quick. Does is that the person who Wolverine gives a beer to, or is it
Yeah.
Lady Deathstrike?
I
I'm
don't
pretty
think
sure-
it's Lady Deathstrike.
I'm pretty sure it's
I
Gorgon.
don't think she's in it. Yeah, it's definitely Gorgon.
Yeah.
It's definitely Gorgon. Yeah.
That was cool.
And then of course Apocalypse walks through and goes, Krakoa.
It's been too long. Krakoa knows me, and I Krakoa. And of course, when Apocalypse walks in, what does he get? He gets doves.
Yeah.
Doves start
Frickin'
flying.
Doves start flying somewhere. It's like, oh, this is some.
Krakoa missed his old friend.
Yeah,
Yeah.
100%. Like he's his oldest friend. And then what does Charles say at the very end? He's like, "Welcome home" or something.
Yes.
Yeah.
Welcome home.
Yeah,
Charles
welcome
shakes
home.
his hand and says, "Welcome home."
That is this is like the craziest. Like it's not really the craziest, but like when you think of this happening, it's like nuts.
Apocalypse.
The age of Apocalypse.
The one
Like,
the one mutant who just wants war between everyone.
Oscar Isaac himself.
Yeah.
Learning.
You have finally become what I intended you to be. I could not be more proud.
Hell yeah, baby.
It's so
Because
great.
Apocalypse looks at himself as the god of mutants almost, like the father of mutantdom.
Yeah, 100%.
And so he's like, "You're finally where I want
you to be." I'm so like, yeah,
And
I could
finally
be-
there.
And
My
he says,
children.
I couldn't be more proud.
that's so
If
good.
Xavier,
hearing-
if Xavier is the father, Apocalypse is the grandfather.
Yes.
like seeing Apocalypse telling Xavier that he couldn't be more proud just sends shivers down my spine.
Shivers.
I was like, because I may not know X-Men comics, but I know Apocalypse and X-Men do not get along. And that's not just from the movie, that's from other stuff.
Yeah. Is there anything in this issue that you think we're missing, Sparks? I see you looking through something.
No, I'm on to the next one.
Cool. Okay.
Maybe just some good dialogue between Emma Frost and Xavier.
Oh no! Did I not write that down? Oh no!
It was
Oh,
just
yeah,
so
yeah.
good.
It's just that moment where he's saying, "I know what you did."
Oh,
and
are
the
you
nation
accusing
thanks
me of
you.
something, Charles? And then he's like, no, a grateful nation thanks you for your sacrifice. Meaning, Emma Frost is a super shady person when she needs
Yeah.
to be, and this is the first time Charles is accepting of it. Meaning, like, this dude is broken and willing to do whatever it takes.
I really liked that moment because Emma's like, "You want to fight?" And he's like, "No, thank you."
No,
And she's like,
thanks.
"Oh,
And she's like, oh, Charles, you're a bad boy.
Is it?
oh, Charles,
oh, Charles.
Charles."
Oh, this is Forge.
Forge. So Forge lives in Dallas, Texas, in a cool ass aquarium.
That's rad.
Hell yeah. I used to live in Dallas, Texas.
Oh, I think
Did
this
you
is
live in the
no,
aquarium?
Brandon.
No.
I think this is the scene you just were talking about with Emma Frost and Charles Xavier.
No,
No, that was from the
wasn't.
UN.
It
Oh.
was in
No,
the
there
one
was a
before.
tiny scene where she's like talking to all the ambassadors and she.
Oh yeah. That, okay.
Yeah, there's a lot of issues now. You're fine.
Oh, damn it, brain.
No, you're fine. So let's move on to Forge.
Yeah,
Forge,
damn it, brain.
Forge is a mutant. He's the mutant Tony Stark. He can build anything. He just has to know what it's for.
looks like it too.
Yeah, yeah, you know, bearded white guys. You know, what are you gonna do? Look at this.
Well, I'll be damned.
I
mean,
don't think I look like Tony Stark.
No.
he has the. Yeah, if he had a goatee, he
So
looks like Tony.
Charles goes to Forge and he's like, "Yo, can you make 5 copies of every mind of every mutant and put it in 5 different places around the world for me?" And Forge is like, "What?
Why would you want
I
to do
need
that?"
unlimited energy. I need unlimited this and that." And he's like, and Charles Xavier, who in the 80s is about to go to Shi'ar space, and
Yes,
and
the
it's funny that
the Shi'ar
he needs,
crystals. That's what they need.
he needs Shi'ar stuff. So it's really
Isn't the next one that we see? Isn't the next time we see him? He's in his hover chair.
yeah, maybe possibly he's
So-
definitely in his hover chair sometimes.
So
in this.
I forgot what they were called. The diamonds in
the Macron, the M-Cron?
logic diamonds.
Logic diamonds.
That's what they used to at the Moira's end of her 9th life. Wolverine sticks a logic diamond in her chest, and
Oh,
she
yeah.
absorbs all the
It's
information.
all the data like instantaneously in her head.
Yes.
I just
Good job.
I,
Good job, man.
I wanted to bring up the wheelchairs because I find it. You can tell where in the timeline they
Yes,
are
100%.
by what wheelchair he has.
That's a very astute point, Brandon. Absolutely.
I think
Yes.
that's really cool.
Yeah. That's another reason people were like, is this like all one timeline, like the 10th life? It's all the 616 that we've seen before, and slowly and surely it is because
Yeah.
you see things you've noticed before.
And you just got to place it in the right place.
Yes. And a lot of X-Men Twitter has done that for me, so I appreciate you guys a lot. Let's see. But can it be done? Can you build a supercomputer that holds it all? I guess we'll find out. Spoiler alert: we read the last issue. It does work. Guys, let's
Because
talk.
then Krakoa ends up being the power source.
Yes, let's talk about the Hellfire Club, and Emma Frost is now the queen of it, right? Emma Frost had an incredibly awesome one-shot called X-Men Black Emma Frost that came out earlier this year or late last year. But it's Emma's story of taking out Sebastian Shaw, the leader of the Hellfire Club, and taking control.
and becoming the White Queen.
The White Queen, yeah, or the Black Queen, depending on who's writing it, what's
Yeah.
writing it. But it's so funny because Charles is like, "Listen, Emma, you're really smart, and you have a company. I've set up dozens and dozens of shell companies to manufacture all the drugs that we're going to give to the people. So there's no way that like any of this is going to go bad. You know, just trust me, it's going to be fine. But I need you and the Hellfire Club to help distribute it." And she says, "You want me to be the East India Trading Company of mutants?
Yeah.
That sounds awesome." And I was like, "Emma, you know they're not good people."
This was the
That's fine.
issue that made me fall in love with Emma,
Dude,
like hard.
She's awesome, isn't she?
She
right?
is.
She's so sassy.
Holy crap!
Let's see.
And she mentions like when
she says-
in the museum she's talking to Charles and Magneto, who tell her, and they're like, "Hey, we're gonna put him on," and she's like, "Not again, not this bullshit.
Yeah.
We stick them all on an island again.
Yeah.
The frack is wrong with you?
Exactly.
Hey, let us show you."
Yeah, and then
All right, I'm
she
in.
whispers to herself, once more for the children.
Yeah.
Because the thing that you guys need to know, while she might have been a villain sometimes, her number one priority is being an educator and teaching children. She loves teaching, even if she might be a bad person sometimes. She's an educator, which is a really...
I didn't get that from Felicity Jones.
Nope, January Jones.
January Jones.
You want to talk about character assassination? Emma Frost is a character who dresses sexy because she was treated a certain way her whole life, so she knows how to manipulate men. That character is just there to look really pretty. That is not a good Emma Frost at all. I feel bad that that's the Emma Frost
Which
that we
Emma
got.
Frost are we talking
Sometimes
First
Matthew
class.
Vaughn's
Oh,
not
okay.
great at handling women.
Sometimes, a lot of times. Sorry, no, yeah.
Anyway,
about? I figured, Ryan. I just wanted to double check and
No,
make
yeah.
sure.
so
No, the one from X-Men Origins.
jumping forward.
Oh, I forgot about that, dog.
Jumping
wins?
forward.
Wait,
Oh.
real quick. No, we have to talk about Sebastian
Go on.
Shaw coming back because that's
Okay.
really important. Because she just took him out and he's like locked away forever. And Charles is like, we need Sebastian. And she's like, I literally just got rid of him in the last issue, my man. That's really important that he's coming back and he's a member of the Krakoan Council. That's super important. Now we can move on.
Okay, so Charles invites all the mutants
Hell yeah! Is this the scene?
with Namor.
Oh, it's just God, Namor.
The Namor
Guys,
sequence is real cool.
Guys, so much like Emma Frost, Hickman gets the characterization of these guys like really quickly and really succinctly, and Namor is so badass and so cool in this scene. Ben, can you read the final thing for me
From Namor?
Yeah, where you're on the right page, where he denies Charles Xavier.
Just the last word bubble.
The last word bubbles. Go away, little man, and don't come back until you really mean it.
Sorry, the one before that. He talks about like being superior.
Do I seem like a person who just now realized?
Yeah.
yeah.
Do I
yeah.
strike you as someone who's just
you.
now realized how much better I am than everyone else? And do you actually think I believe that you feel that way too?
Yeah.
Go away, little man.
Yeah.
Don't come back until you
Yeah,
really
Namor
mean it.
Namor is what Charles Xavier is now, but he's been that way his entire life. He feels he's better than everyone else, and he's the king of the ocean.
He's also super. He's a super old mutant as well.
Yeah, he's been around since World War II. Like he's part of the invaders and stuff. Yeah, he owns like he's the king of the ocean. He owns
Yeah.
more of the planet than humans do. He's not worried about your little dream.
He's been a big problem in the Avengers recently.
He also completely destroyed Wakanda in AVX and washed it away. He flooded Wakanda.
Oh, yeah, he
which
did
is
do that.
supposed to be landlocked. So like that's really powerful. He was part of the Phoenix 5, excuse me. So he had Phoenix powers. I'll allow it.
Yeah, he's been a major.
I just wrote Namor rules really big, and I wrote fuck off, Chalk.
He's been a major antagonist in Aaron's Avengers run.
Oh yeah.
Lastly,
he has
in
an
this-
awesome new redesign too.
Lastly, in this issue is the year 1000.
Hell yeah, but hey guys, black holes are actually supermassive machine brains that are collectors of society.
Yeah, that was weird.
And it turns out tomorrow's the end of the world for the Ascended here, for these blue people.
And now this issue is the first time that we get a look at the habitat, and we get a sense that there are other characters that we're going
not
to be
this one.
No,
introduced to.
That's
that
not-
was in the first issue of Powers of X.
Yes.
Or
But
we
Powers of 10.
got the habitat in the
Yeah, we
first.
got the
I just
habitat.
looked at it.
Yeah.
And we saw the shadows of two people and like, hey, who are
And they
those
look
guys?
naked, which
They do.
they're not naked in the other issue. So I think that's just to misdirect.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Looks very Adam and Evie too.
Yeah, but there's an incredible, beautiful scene here where the Phalanx is kissing the Elder and absorbing him. There's a scene in House of X5 where Storm is kissing Cyclops in the exact same way, on the forehead.
There's a lot of parallels.
There's a lot of
yeah.
parallels. That's what I'm saying. All of this is connected, and I can't wait to see like what the future and the Phalanx, because the Phalanx is just super weird.
Are you suggesting that Storm has evaporated? Cyclops?
No, I'm just saying like the imagery is very similar for
Storm
purposes.
has absorbed Cyclops.
She now can shoot laser storm eyes. But yeah, the world's going to end tomorrow. They're going to be accepted into the Phalanx. Are they happy about it?
No.
Well, I mean,
the librarian isn't.
One person isn't, but that's
Yeah.
for the final issue.
Yeah. But then we get into House 6,
Hell yeah, baby.
which
All I ever wanted was to love you and for you to love us. That is so
which
powerful.
which is Charles talking to all the mutants, and we get all
mankind.
the,
He's talking to all mankind.
All of mankind.
That's what I meant to say. My apologies. And we get like people in hospitals,
Okay, so-
people in boardrooms, people in like NORAD, and then we cut to the Avengers,
Yep.
the Fantastic Four, the Sanctum Sanctorum of Doctor Strange.
Yep.
Did I say it right? Sanctum Sanctorum.
you got it, yeah.
Thank you. And
There's
it's
also
like,
Gregor and Mendel before they get evaporated. There's Karima, and there's also a very mysterious character in the middle who we have not seen yet. This is a new character. We all assume that that's Dr. Killian, who is the founder of Orcus.
Yeah.
We haven't seen him yet. I was pointing to Sparks on there.
Oh, okay.
Wait,
A lot of
Killian, Ultra's Killian?
no.
Because he's dead.
No, it's Killian is his first name. It's like Killian Arvo or something.
Okay.
Yeah. But he hasn't been seen yet. A lot of people think that's the Maker. It's not the Maker. We know what the Maker looks like.
Yeah, the Maker is currently an antagonist in Venom.
Yes, and in Absolute Carnage as well. Yes,
Yeah.
yes. And then where do we go from there? Let's Hey,
And then we go-
Krakoan citizenship, baby, for all mutants.
And amnesty.
Importantly, we see Moira too.
For the first time
Yeah.
in like
5 issues or 4 issues.
in a long time. Yeah.
Yeah.
In this timeline.
I'm sorry. What did you say about the Krakoan citizenship? We get the look that Xavier's like every mutant born, should he want to claim it, will be a Krakoan citizen.
That's awesome. Yeah. Much
And
like, I mean, not every other country does that.
yeah.
But
It's
cool.
like even if you're not born on Krakoan soil, if you're a mutant,
Yes.
Yeah.
you're Krakoan.
Yeah.
That's really powerful stuff.
And
I
then
like
we
that.
get to the first Krakoan council.
Oh man, poor Sabretooth. No,
Deciding the fate of Sabretooth.
no, actually not poor Sabretooth. He's an asshole.
Yeah, Sabretooth is a murderer.
And their first laws, which we'll just sum up real quick: make more mutants, murder no man, respect the sacred land.
Yeah.
I also like how it's Kurt. Well, Mystique is like, "Hey, let's hear from the righteous. What do we need?" And Kurt quotes
We need the
Bible verse.
bang.
Yeah, he quotes a Bible verse, and then
I
he's
really
like,
hope he didn't look at his mom.
the look on his face is like, "Make more mutants."
No, see the thing, it is kind of people seem to think this is just because it's Mystique who is his mom, but she's not doing it in a sexual way. She's like, "Oh, you're the one who believes in God. Like, what, do you, Mr. High and Mighty? What do you think about this?"
Oh no, I didn't take.
Okay, good.
I didn't think that the Mystique was being sexual to her son. I was worried that Nightcrawler was being sexual to his mother.
Oh no. He's showing that like, hey, I'm on board with this too. You just happen to be my mom.
You know, I always forget that they're mother and son.
yes.
Most people do.
Yeah. We don't see
Movies will
Sebastian.
do that to you.
Yeah.
We don't see Sebastian Shaw yet either. There's one empty seat on
No,
the council.
no, he's right next to Emma, dude.
That's
That's
Shaw?
Sebastian Shaw.
Guys,
Oh.
the red
Movies
king.
will do that to you.
Yeah. The Red King is not revealed yet, but maybe spoiler alert. This is already kind of known. It's Kitty Pryde.
Oh.
Yeah, and I kind of wish we all didn't know this, but like it's out there, so like I don't think it's a big spoiler to let you guys know. Like it was found out.
Yeah, to quote Sparks,
Well,
movies will
ma-
do that to you. I didn't know that was
Here, a fun fact. Actually,
it makes sense that Kitty would be on the council because she's
she's gonna be she's the captain of the Marauders, and she's going by Kate now.
yeah,
she's grown up.
What's interesting is this is a character who's been leader of the X-Men, has ran the school at one
Yep.
time. Like you say
And
she's
X-Men Gold, yeah.
Yeah, you say she's grown up, but she's been grown up for a while.
Yes, but like certain characters in this are not de-aged, but like kind of taken to their like perfect representation
Yeah.
and stuff.
Honestly-
and this is like an
honestly-
evolution of like her growing up a little bit.
One of the reasons why a lot of people don't like Whedon's Astonishing X-Men is because of he de-aged Kitty.
Yes, that's a good example. Yes.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And so Kitty has been de-aged in
yes.
comics.
Also, who is it? Havoc, who is Alex Summers. He's like a child for some reason. I think it might
He's an adult. When we see him later in the book,
Okay,
he's still an
sorry.
adult.
Yeah, you're right. When they're drinking beer, there's another character who is incredibly de-aged for no reason that we know now. So
Yeah.
like Hickman is still doing that weird stuff. We just don't know why yet.
He's putting characters where he would prefer them to be.
Yes. So Sabretooth gets banished.
exiled.
It's like,
Exile.
we can't kill you because then we'd have to bring you back.
Yep.
Which is crazy to me. That doesn't matter. Like all mutants will be brought back.
Yeah. It's their rule. Yeah.
I have to say Sabretooth's sentence, because the way that Charles is telling him is like essentially it's a fate worse than death. You'll be asleep, but you'll
like a coma almost.
experience every moment.
I love
of
it.
it.
Coma.
Emma Frost saying quiet, and then Jean Grey saying quiet to
Yeah.
make him
Yeah.
like when it's like, no, I won't. I'm gonna quiet.
And then
it's,
he's had like some telepathic training, like to resist. Like most, like there's been multiple references in the series of like, oh, they have telepathic like resistance. You know, that's kind of a common thing with like.
is this
superheroes.
the issue where they talk about no precogs on Krakoa?
That's the final issue.
Okay.
Yes, we're almost there. So Sabretooth gets exiled. That's real sad. That's real crazy. I'm really
He might
curious.
have a day for like parole later, but for now, it's for good.
Yeah. Oh, it's a. What's that?
Oh no, that's Wolverine giving Krog, whom I thought was Silver Samurai, and I was completely mistaken, a beer.
Oh, nice.
Oh, that's
Okay.
what I thought was.
Yeah.
Got it. Cool.
What's her name? Lady Deathstrike.
Lady Deathstrike. Yeah, I
Okay.
gotcha. So yeah. So they have the most epic celebration of all time.
This huge
on this
party.
beautiful party, and this specific party is so cool because so many enemies are teaming up and hanging out and drinking beers. Emma Frost and Jean Grey have a notorious rivalry of this. Like Jean Grey's nice and Emma Frost is not.
There's Havoc.
Yeah, you're right. There's Havoc. Yeah. Sorry. There's another character. I don't remember who it is.
Uncanny Avengers Havoc was very, very heartbreaking.
Yeah. Yes. Havoc's cool. I'm glad he's back. Apocalypse is sitting by himself. It's so sad.
He's
But look,
no, he's not by himself. He's with Krakoa.
thank you, Brandon. Yes, you're right. He is with Krakoa.
Yeah.
I didn't even think about that. Krakoa,
You know what?
they're on a living person.
Yeah.
That's amazing. I love it.
He's sitting there with
I
his
think
friend.
he's quite at peace.
Yeah, but like Jean Grey and Emma Frost share a beer. Logan and Scott share a beer. All the villains are hanging out. Exodus is telling stories like theatrically to children. Like it is some really cool stuff.
Okay, Ryan.
Yeah.
Krakoa Atlantic. Turn the page, Ben.
Oh, you're right. Whoa.
Yeah. So.
Oh.
Krakoa
Yeah,
Pacific.
this is the other.
Okay. Yeah, you got me
Yeah.
there. Okay. Cool.
So 19 is transit and
No, we don't. I don't. I'm just saying because there's 2 Krakoas.
yeah. Okay.
Oh,
It looks
cool.
like Krakoa is 2 islands right now.
Okay, yeah, yeah.
So
Look,
Island 21 right here is Danger Island.
But it
That's
says
it.
Krakoa
It's,
Atlantic.
it's training and the point and transit. That's the things that
Yeah.
are on the Atlantic one.
Okay, so it's not all of it. Okay.
But what I was saying
You're
is,
right.
is there are 2 Krakoas, and so I was asking, was that
No, that is
Because
the
it's called Krakoa. I don't think it is.
no. That's the limbo one. That's not here.
So how did man? It must suck for Krakoa. He's got two pieces.
Yeah. Well, I mean, he's also in hundreds of other locations too. Technically,
that's true.
I mean, like I guess it's all one consciousness, like a hive mind, like a phalanx. Well, guys. All right.
Moira
so
becomes Krakoa. You heard it here.
yes. So yeah, Karkoa Party. Just look at what we made, which is a stark difference to look at what they did. Look what they have done.
Yeah.
And then look what we did.
Yeah.
That's some powerful
Which
stuff,
is
guys.
great.
Yes.
Now, I have to say, after I read that, I saw the celebration, Ryan, I was a little nervous going into number 6.
Everybody was. This is what Hickman does.
Because I was so scared.
It's all going
Now,
to fall apart.
I was so scared that the Sentinels were going to pull some shit. I was so scared that someone was going to betray someone
You know
else.
what that would have been? That would have been
I
X-Men karaoke.
Yes.
This is not X-Men karaoke.
Exactly.
This is
Like-
a new song.
Like, I was so scared. I was like, what's going to happen? What's the big push? And then I read issue 6 of Powers of 10, and I was...
We can still call it Powers.
Yeah, Powers of X, and I still...
So this final issue, we're wrapping.
this final
we're getting to the end
issue,
here,
like I s-
this might be my favorite issue because so much.
Pay off.
Yeah, baby. Oh, baby. Oh, yeah.
Holy crap baskets.
So
The payoff in
we
this issue
learned
is
that the
great.
Preserve is the final home of mutants, the last remaining mutants. Homo sapiens are gone. This new like weird blue race of like what are they called again? Spark, you said
Posthuman.
Post-human. Thank you.
Yeah, I said it earlier. Thank you very much.
Good job, Brandon.
There's even a little thing describing like here's a Homo sapien,
Yes.
Homo superior, go way over here, post-human.
yes.
And this is the issue. And once again, the issue starts off with Charles going to that fair. Again.
Yeah, this is the third time we
Replace the
see
whole
them.
thing.
Yeah.
Look at that. You got Cardinal with the red shoes
Yeah,
again.
we now know the context of these elements. This was her 9th life.
Yes, absolutely. So yeah, we replay. If I'm being real honest, this is a $6 comic, and I appreciate the callback and the reference to this again. But this is a expensive comic, and I don't think we needed all the flashbacks again.
Yeah.
Again.
I agree.
You could have had the extra scene of him going a little crazier, but to have like almost like a third of this book be old pages is kind of
We get the context.
It's
by
also
seeing
it
the
is
bit
also
with him.
thicker than the other ones.
Yeah.
yes.
Also, I want to say a lot of people make fun of James McAvoy for doing the finger thing. It's in the comics, guys.
Yeah. No, he does it. Yeah.
So there you go.
So yeah, the Preserve is the final home of mutants, and we
Yeah.
finally realize who is in here, and it's Logan. I didn't expect Logan to be here, guys. Did you?
Well,
No.
yeah.
No.
Yes, actually.
Really?
Yeah,
Logan?
I'm not lying to you.
No, that's
so
a good
how I
pickup.
dropped the pods from the first issue when I went into the Moira thing, I didn't drop the people in the habitat. And the thing is, like, the only thing that was distinguishable, because I'm like, they have to be important somehow, so I looked at them for a while. The only thing that was distinguishable is Wolverine's hair.
Yeah.
It's the shape of his hair, and I'm like, what? It has to be somebody.
Yeah. I like it.
I
All right.
I
But I
figured as
didn't
much.
know who the lady would be.
Yeah.
I didn't know who the lady would be either, but I did figure Wolverine.
Because he can live a long time.
Well, he would live a long time, and we've already seen him. I was starting to think that this was not year 1000. It was the other. It's another timeline of the. It's like our timeline of what the Apocalypse timeline would have been.
Gotcha. Yeah.
So I was thinking that okay, well, Wolverine stayed that old, then he would still be here.
Yeah.
So I figured that was the thing.
So yeah, the librarian goes into the Preserve, which if you guys notice, he opens what kind of almost looks like Krakoa.
Yeah.
He's going through almost like a portal or something. And he's like, this aggression is pointless, not speaking English. And then he starts speaking English, and Logan's like, oh, that's a neat
Who
trick.
do we think these other characters are?
Ooh, let's go back to this real quick, baby.
These guys. Who do we think these guys
are all future evolutioned X-Men, because they talk about in the next pages when we see crazy bird people. Can we get to the crazy bird people real quick?
Oh, I thought that was a flashback.
No, that's year 1000.
Okay.
Yeah, let me get there. You guys want to talk real quick while I find this
Well, because
page?
it looks just like the character that Grant Morrison created, the one with all the terrible parts of a bird.
Oh, you mean this one?
There it goes. Yeah, that page. No, that's just that whole page explains
this guy?
that evolution.
guy.
Okay, so the whole crux of this series is about this issue, right?
Right. I thought this
is year 1000.
This is not a flashback to.
This is in the preserve.
Well, what's that?
I don't know.
Ben, so I was thinking this was a flashback because this is clearly the one on the bottom page is clearly year 1000.
Yeah.
But it looks to me like he's talking and we're seeing flashback references to the people he's talking about.
So if you look at their outfits, I think their outfits kind of represent. They look like the same outfits that Wolverine's wearing. So I think.
You see how this kind of like World War II looking thing kind of throws it off.
Okay, I think that's here. Let me see this real quick, Sparks. I think this is just showing us that what happens when humanity stops being beholden to its environment. This is them trying to do that, I think. Again, it is kind of vague, and it is a good point you brought up. I didn't think about that, but I definitely think this is the preserve.
This also.
Yeah.
Like this is also a flashback. This has to be this panel.
I'm not sure. When man controls the building blocks of biology and technology, evolution is no match for genetic engineering. Which, so I'm not really sure, actually, Brandon. You bring up a good point. I think it's just talking about the evolution of humanity and how they can make themselves into X-Men, basically.
Right, but
yeah.
I think he's saying it through these flashbacks pages.
You might be right, actually. Okay,
panels are flashbacks.
You know what? That's a good point. I could believe that. I'll have to look into that on X-Men Twitter a little bit later. You would have thought that the machines would defeat you, but we were just using them to buy time. Sentinels gave us years, Nimrod gave us decades. So Moira's final realization is it's not machines, it's not AI, it is humanity itself.
Yeah.
Humans will always be the fundamental problem, and the X-Men can't just kill humanity. That's a bad thing to do, right? So Moira has
except the reveal at the end clearly she tried.
She did try in other lifelines and timelines. The librarian says your personal memory may differ, but historical records imply you mutants never really saw it coming. It's sad, really. The idea that you were what was next, evolutionary, inevitable, and Logan and her are like, we are. And she's like, look around you. You're in a cage. Clearly, you're not the next best thing, right? You thought it was the machines that would defeat you. It's actually us. He's
like humans. He's saying they are the true next evolution of humanity.
Yes. I believe the scientific term is Homo novissima, the end of the evolutionary line, the last man there will ever be, because humanity is at a point where it's ready to ascend. And while we're talking about ascension, I got a great quote from Polygon. They did HoXPoX talks every week. Really incredibly smart guys. And I'm just going to bring up this fun fact for you. In case you thought that we weren't philosophical enough, the librarian is getting into the meaning of existence. He seems to be implying that existence within the Dominion is merely a simulation, the idea of which puzzles contemporary scientists, like the librarian and others. Is this nature of existence simply what our senses tell us? Could a manufactured existence be just as real as a material existence? Kind of like the Matrix. So the librarian is here talking to Moira, contemplating, should I let you die to restart this over because I have doubts about my ascendancy. This is the only blue person that we've seen have doubts about this crazy thing that they're doing. He's like, do I kill you and see what happens, or do I trust the gut and become a god? And then Wolverine kills him.
Yeah.
And
just
like
right out
real quick. And what did you say, Brandon? Like, was that fast enough for you?
He's like, because he's like, I'm so advanced. I can see you coming, and he doesn't see this coming. He just goes, was that fast?
I think the quote is, "Dear Lord up in robot heaven, tell me, was that fast enough for you?"
Hell yeah.
I love how he says robot heaven too.
Yeah. So Moira now knows the truth that humanity is the real enemy. So I can understand why she might have to join Apocalypse now. I can understand maybe why she tries to kill all the evil humans in Life 7 and 8 and 9 and stuff. So
because there is a difference. Like
this is also where when he kills Moira, and he says, "This is what I do."
Yeah.
And so her earlier issue is a callback to this moment, but again,
this almost made me cry. No lie, not gonna lie. This was and they're very like soft with each other. Like they're very tender.
That's not your new. You're telling me that's not your new tattoo? That silhouette of them.
Listen, I can't get it this quickly, but I will add it to the list because it is. I'm all about silhouettes.
This is a growing list.
And so ended the sixth life.
And so ended the sixth life.
Yeah,
and here it frames everything.
And finally, we see what happens after Charles first goes and then he's in pain.
And then
because he gets everything.
It's overwhelming. Yes, it's overwhelming. So they have a great conversation. Moira's talking to Xavier, and she's like, Charles, I've known you so much. I've loved you, I've hated you, and you've never changed. And he's like, oh, thank you. She's like, that's not a compliment. And what she realizes is she has to break Xavier of his dream, of the dream of a peaceful existence with humans, because clearly 9 times out of this 10, it has not worked.
Yeah.
And if this is her final life, if this is the last chance she gets, she has to break the rules, which also means she has to break a good man. Yeah. And that's really sad.
And well, that's what's interesting is if you look at all of 616 history, this frames 616 history, at least for X-Men, as Moira breaking Xavier piece by piece.
Again, people who only know the movies and think of Charles Xavier as like a really good person, except for Dark Phoenix stuff. Charles Xavier has been an asshole for the last 20 years. Because if you really think about what he's doing, he's creating child soldiers. And it's not really explored until a little bit later on, where it's like, hey, maybe also Charles has a bad idea, but Magneto's clearly the villain, so we have to side with Charles. Yeah. And I love that dichotomy. I love that hey, maybe we're not all good guys and bad guys. There's a lot of gray areas all around. And then bringing Moira into this, it changes so much. Yeah, you could read so much X-Men in the past, and it gives you this sense of completion.
It recontextualizes a lot of X-Men stories. Yeah. We've been talking about how this is the 616 timeline.
It is,
and
Moira's been missing for 20 years. Yeah,
yeah, and so we get references that Xavier has forgotten this moment, and she's like, because at that moment she's like, can I get you to turn on them now? Mm-hmm. No, okay, well you're gonna forget, and then I'm gonna break you.
Yes, I even wrote Ivan Drago, I will break you.
Yeah.
And then we get, is this before or after we get all of her text and all of her diary entries?
We get her diary entries
after. Yeah. We don't need to go into a lot of it, but the most impactful thing is talking about children. Because this is the thing that most recontextualizes all of X-Men, because Charles Xavier has a son named Legion, who is an Omega level mutant who could do anything. And Moira McTaggart has an Omega level mutant named Proteus. And it's not a coincidence that both of these children were born Omega level mutants, which recontextualizes that these children were not made out of love. They were made out of save the race. Mm-hmm. And that is so gross. That is so gross to think that Charles Xavier met with this person and had a child just so he could use him later. Same with Moira. All of the 80s and 90s have Moira married to this guy, and then we meet Proteus, and Proteus is a bad guy, and he leaves. And that all this recontextualizes all of that. And it makes Xavier, because of Moira, really bad. He's a bad dude, and he's doing kind of bad things, but for the good of his people. And at the end of the day, what are you supposed to do when you are being massacred every single day? Yeah. It's a really troubling idea, but I love that Hickman is willing to do that. He's like, yeah, I'll rewrite history to say that Charles Xavier made his Omega level mutant son to save humanity instead of have a son. Yeah. That's super gross. That's oh man. I was just thinking about it, and I'm oh, that's so bad. And then we get to the scene of this great scene where Charles and Xavier, Charles and Eric, thank you, bring tea to Moira, and she knows there's some bullshit going on. Because I have a portal to the greatest food culinary city in the world. Why would I need you to bring me tea? And Magneto's like, no, yeah, you're right.
She's living in the no space.
Nobody knows about Moira. The only people who know about Moira's plan are Charles and Eric. Cypher got a glimpse of the dream, but not without Moira. Nobody knows Moira's alive anymore because she faked her death to plan all this out. And
the faking her death is new. She has been dead for a couple of years.
So I haven't read the issue where she died. I think she actually was supposed to be dead, and then it's retconned to be a fake death, I believe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But basically, what can you read it? How does Destiny get brought up again? Oh, sorry, Mystique.
Oh,
sorry.
Mystique, yeah.
Mystique has demands. She's like, I want you to bring Destiny back. And Charles and Eric oh, okay. So they go talk to Moira about it.
Yeah, and Moira goes, you cannot do that. We know. There can be no precogs on Karkoa. Will not tolerate mutants who can see the future. We know.
How hypocritical is this?
I wonder why.
Because if Destiny comes and shows that Moira has had all these lives and they're trying to build this future, but they always lose. Every single time they lose. So all the hope that they have will be crushed, knowing that this has all happened before. Even though it's happening, and that's why Charles and Eric are it's not going to be that way because we are different people. You made us who we are. And again, that's really scary because they're all right, Moira, you did your job. And that's the most telling thing about this in these last couple of pages. Moira, sit the rest of this out. We got this. everything you spent thousands of years of your life trying to build this plan. Now set aside. Let the men handle this.
I think there's something more sinister to not wanting precogs on Karkoa.
There
I don't think it's just as simple as she just doesn't want that hope crushed. I think there's a reason that she doesn't want them.
Also, but if Destiny comes back and kills her, like that will restart all of the Marvel universe. So like,
right, but if what she's doing is for the good of mutants, then Destiny wouldn't kill her.
You think so, right? So that's why it's really interesting that even though going back to when Destiny was talking, she's like, I've seen everything you're doing, and I don't like what you've done. I'm not convinced of your plans. And she's like, you don't do this again. So I think Destiny would be on her side, but if she doesn't want Destiny back, you're right. She is doing something more sinister.
Look, I mean, think about it in the simplest terms of the fact that like what they've done is establish this nation. If you have a precog who could talk about a different future, a future Moira hasn't seen because she's never seen the future that goes down the line of the things that are happening at this moment.
Yeah.
That can start a revolution for the wrong reasons.
Yes.
And they need that not to happen. Mm-hmm. That's why there's no precogs on Krakoa.
Yes.
You can't have people who can see a future that could work against what Moira is trying to do.
Yes, because if you have a glimpse of the future, then it might come true.
Because someone who is
it's a Doctor Strange thing.
Because somebody who is precogging the future as it's written from what they're seeing could think about the like leading circumstances of what's happening, but not have the context.
Again, the branching multiverse of those ideas.
9 lives before of alternatives.
Yeah.
And not understand that this is the way we win.
They don't want to know the future.
And every other way is the way we lose.
They want to build the future. They don't want to know it.
DC has a concept called hypertime, which this reminds me of.
The metaverse.
Well, the metaverse is different.
Yes, it's another type of thing. Yeah. Let's see. It's tea time. The truth. We are different,
God,
Moira.
I love Jeff Johns.
Yeah, he's pretty cool.
Sorry.
And then it has the flashback of or the party scene again of saying like, Moira, you turned us into this, and like we got this, blah blah blah. And then Magneto's like, let them try to stop us this time.
Yeah.
And then
Charles goes, yes.
Charles, who never would have said this before, saying, yeah, let them try. And that is so almost haunting that when you think of Charles Xavier in the 60s, it's bright, like plucky, like I want to save the mutants, and now he's like, we're gonna build a nation and we're gonna pirate drugs all over the world to countries that might not even want them.
I mean, going with like the basic analogy of what people make between these two is, this is Malcolm X convinced Martin Luther King Jr. that violence and self-defense is a good answer.
Yes. It is almost a Magneto way, but they're not being. But again, they're not being violent. They're just being assertive and aggressive.
No, but it is. Well, that's the whole thing. Is it's not violence for violence sake.
Yeah.
Malcolm X was always saying it's violence when attacked,
when needed. Yeah.
This is that. This is saying here it is. You come for us, and we will fight back now.
Yes, that's true. Yes,
that's it.
Yeah,
this is it.
I love it. I love it.
That was them killing the people when they were making the mother mold. That's violence and self-defense.
Yeah. You're 100% right. I love you.
Yeah,
even Scott says about the one because Jean Grey asks what about the human crew? Is like keep casualties minimal. We don't want to fight. We don't want to try and hurt them. We have a mission. It's just to get the mother mold into the sun and destroy that.
So are we all picking up all 6 new X-Men titles?
I don't. You don't have to. Like. You don't have to. It is a fully like contained X-Men world where all these books are intertwined, but like much like the Marvel comics universe, you don't have to. It helps.
I can tell you for sure, my wallet says no.
I've signed up for 5 of the 6 because I'm gonna buy the first issue of Fallen Angels and I'm gonna see if I like it because that's the one concept I'm not totally sold on yet, but we'll see. It's being written by Brian Hill, who does like Detective Comics and Black Lightning, so like he's a great writer. So this is really good. We all know Krakoa's most important mutants, the Resurrection Dynamo called the Five, and their great unifier, Hope. Hope Summers is Cable's adoptive daughter, prophesies to restore a decimation that mutant kind had after M-Day. You just bought a bunch of books about Generation Hope. Hope is supposed to be the Jesus of the mutants. Like she's supposed to usher in this like peaceful age.
She was the first mutant born after House of M.
Yes, Brandon, you're great. I love you. So Hope Summers is now actually the savior she was meant to be.
Yeah.
And Hickman is the one who did that after 20 years of somebody trying to do it. It's poetry. It's beautiful. I'm so glad Hickman is doing this because like the X-Men were not in the best spot the last couple years after Bendis left, and even Bendis' run ended on a sour note. So having the X-Men be this popular and selling this well back in the 90s, they were the hottest thing in comics. It's still the highest selling comic of all time is X-Men 1.
And the conspiracy theory that that Marvel was trying to bury the X-Men is ridiculous and it's not founded.
That is some silly, nerdy nonsense.
Yeah.
They did push the Inhumans super hard.
But they also had 6 X-Men books at one time.
They always have a bunch of X-Men books, yeah. And there's like 3 X-Men minis going on at any given time. So like I was reading X-Men for the last couple of years if I wasn't reading the core X-Men books. I always bought side books.
Yeah.
Like all new Wolverine stuff like that.
Yeah, I really like this. I honestly kind of wish it just ended. Like this was it.
It is
as a miniseries. It's pretty rad.
But that's why it's so exciting because this isn't just an Elseworld story. This is the Marvel 616 true continuity going forward. Again, I said it.
It's changed forever.
It's changed forever, and I said it way early when we first started talking about this months ago. Like this is an Image book that has the X-Men in it.
Yeah.
Like this is Hickman allowing to have double-sized issues, so half of it could be text.
When you read a book like this, very few times in comic books do you see an element and say, "Wow, things are different."
Yeah,
now,
like really,
things are fundamentally different. And DC,
it's the Stan Lee thing of like it's the illusion of change.
Yeah,
like this is actual change. Like mutants are immortal now.
That was for DC recently. That was Rebirth. They were reading Rebirth and like, oh, there's a change that has come, and it's not just the illusion of change. Grant Morrison is very much a fan of the illusion of change.
Oh yeah,
and it's not to his detriment either. He always said when he started Batman, when he ends Batman, it's going to be exactly where he started.
Yeah,
like that's why Damian died.
Yeah.
Damian was never supposed to make it out of Grant Morrison's run because Damian was a new element, and so
did he die in? What was it? Incorporated?
Incorporated, yeah. New 52 is Incorporated.
Yeah.
With comic books, when you do something, it doesn't matter what you create, that you have to leave it for the next writer.
Yeah.
And what Hickman has done is create something that the next writer has to deal with.
Yeah, because there's no way you could retcon all this unless you want to.
Like there's a long path to where that will be, and who knows what that will look like.
Yeah.
Honestly, it's the way I prefer comics to be. I don't like when writers like reset to zero after a good.
I don't
run.
either. I like
I don't care
progression.
about that.
Like sometimes it makes sense if like a character went down a bad path, but like that's why I love Dick Grayson. He's my favorite DC character.
Sure.
That dude had so many iterations of evolving as a character and a person, and that's what a lot of this X-Men feels like.
Well, I think it depends on the writer. Like I think Morrison does it well. I think Johns does it sometimes, and when he does do it, it's well. It's
100%.
Well done.
Yeah.
But very few times is a comic book writer able, not just willing, but able to do something like this.
And he has said, I'm on this book for at least 5 years.
Yeah.
And like he was on Avengers for like 5 years. He was on FF for many years.
Donny Cates is doing the same thing with Venom.
Yeah, he's going to be on Venom for like, he said like I have 200 issues planned up.
Yeah.
Like I believe that.
Like when Venom is done, it's not going back to status quo. This is the new status quo for Venom.
Not with Null the Oblivion God out. You can't status quo that.
Thor, like how Donny Cates has to follow Thor.
It's a tough
thing.
follow.
Robert Venditti had to follow Jeff Johns on Green Lantern.
And he didn't at first. And then I hear it got good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, well, I don't care.
Oh, well.
I got my Jeff Johns Green Lantern.
Yeah.
Anyway.
So that was the topic. Thanks for the video, people. This is gonna, I don't know if this is a separate video or something, but I'm going to be editing the hell out of this video.
Yeah. So, how does everybody feel?
I am so jazzed for X-Men #1, which comes out whenever this is released. It comes out a week after the end of the series, so there's not a wait. Every week, a new X-Men book is going to be coming out. And then in December, all 7 books are going to come out on one day. So something big is happening on that day, which means I'm going to have to buy like 6 to 7 books.
Oh, wow.
Of just X-Men.
Yeah, I'm not sure how I will be able to. I do want to follow the story. I'm
if
interested
anything,
in it.
just follow X-Men because that is the core book.
That is the one book I am definitely planning because,
Yeah.
well, honestly, because Hickman's writing it.
Yeah.
He's the sole
that's what
person
I'm
writing it.
thinking.
So I mean, I would like to get into the other stuff because I'm looking at some of the other X books that are coming out, and just like the one with Psylocke, is that Fallen Angels?
Oh my God, Ben! There are 2 different Psylocks. I can't get into it.
Oh, well-
X-Force. I think that's Psylocke, and then Fallen Angels is a character named Quanin. We'll talk-
You know what? Never mind.
Yeah, no, it's.
If I had it in front of me, I could tell you which ones I would like
Yeah.
to pick up just
As
based
I
on the
was-
characters who are on them.
You need to buy Marauders because it's Emma Frost, Sebastian Stahl, and Kitty Pryde on a ship traveling doing drug stuff.
Okay.
That's the #1 book I'm looking forward to.
Yeah, I'm because I'm already picking up so many books and
Yeah, I feel it.
I am super interested in where the story could go. So I do want to pick it. I do want to keep going. With it.
I'm just glad that you guys, that all 3 of you bought 12 issues of an X-Men comic first, and that you're
I
at
did
all.
not. I borrowed them from my girlfriend.
I'm glad Zara bought them, but I'm glad you guys are at least get why X-Men are cool and why people like the X-Men, and having Hickman usher in this new age is like, mwah, chef's kiss.
There it is.